Good morning again, everyone. For those that joined a little late, let me say thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here with us. Before we go any further, let me just pause to take a moment to give thanks for this day. So let us pray. To our Heavenly Father, I say thank you for a new day. I say thank you for this opportunity. I say thank you for life, for health, for strength. As we're gathered in a forum like this, I do pray that you will be present with us. I do pray that we will have limited to no technical difficulties. And at the end of the day, someone can say it was good for me to be here. Whatever I fail of asking, I pray that you fail not to grant it unto us. In your almighty precious name. Amen. So let me first apologize for my lack of visuals. I am having some challenges with my camera at this moment, but once it is resolved, I will be turning on my camera. As today's session is a career symposium, we will be delving into the various career opportunities for cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is really just a subsection of the whole technology field that we have. And so we're looking at the subsection of cybersecurity, but not on a global scale of availability, but as is available to us locally. I am your moderator for today, and I am assisted by Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Sterling. So you will be hearing from both of us during the course of this engagement. Our first order of business is a round table discussion, and we have a few guests that will be a part of that conversation. We will be having Dr. Curtis Busby Earl from the University of West Indies, Dr. Gunjan Mansingh from the University of West Indies, Dr. Sean Thorpe from the University of Technology, and Miss Natalie Rose from UCC. At this time, I would like to invite the lone female part of this discussion to just start and give us an introduction of herself and what she's about. Miss Natalie Rose, the floor is yours. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me first apologize. So to Dr. Gunjan also. So Dr. Gunjan, seeing that I'm seeing you, you can start. So Dr. Gunjan Mansingh, you can start seeing that I'm seeing you. I do apologize for that also.
No problem, Giovanni. I was wondering if Natalie was a male name now. Good morning, everyone. And first, let me congratulate you for having this month of cybersecurity awareness. I think it's really commendable. Looking at what has been happening internationally, and not just internationally, what even in Jamaica, we need to be aware of it, because cybersecurity is not something new. It's been, the security issues have been around for a long time, but I think this scope of the threats that we have has become global. Meaning just yesterday, I was reading an article that Argentina's entire database of the national ID system was hacked, and all their IDs have been stolen. And I can't even imagine that kind of a nightmare for a country. And just to make sure that we in Jamaica are never in that state, we really need to focus on the educational aspects of cybersecurity so that we have a trained workforce. And and I'm happy that we're having this discussion. My colleague, Dr. Basbiel, who's the actual cybersecurity researcher, I'm not a cybersecurity researcher, he will be joining in at 10 o'clock because he had a lecture. So if you don't see him online till 10, and then he will take over from me. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion because I think as Jamaica as a country, we really need to build this capable workforce in cybersecurity and make sure that we don't have nightmares that some other countries are facing. I will hand over to Dr. Thorpe to introduce himself. Professor Thorpe. I see him online.
Oh, hi, Gunjan. Good morning. Good morning, colleagues. A pleasant, happy day. Trust everyone had a good Heroes Weekend. And Giovanni, good to see you operating in this role. He was once my student, but he's doing very well here. Thank you for having me. I'm actually operating from my home office at the moment. I'm Sean Thorpe, the head of School of Computing and Information Technology here at the University of Technology, Jamaica, and I'm delighted to be a part of this Cybersecurity Week. I do agree that the need for understanding the local landscape is urgent and consistent with what Dr. Manson just pointed out in terms of these advanced persistent threats. We cannot take them for granted, which is why at UTech Jamaica, we have created the Caribbean's largest program in cybersecurity in this English-speaking part of the Caribbean, at least. And I'm here to share more about what those opportunities are in the discourse of this 2 or so hour discussion that you'll be having. So that is my introduction at this point, and I will share more as I go along. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Thorpe and Dr. Mansing. I saw Miss Natalie Rose joining us a short while ago, so I will now leave the floor to Ms. Rose to do her introduction.
Thank you very much. I'm Natalie Rose, head of the IT department at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean. Cybersecurity is one of those areas that is a hot topic today. Right now, cybersecurity is causing so much money on businesses. It has estimated that over 6 trillion of cybercrime is happening in 2021, and it's going to escalate to 10.7 trillion. 65% of the market do not have enough persons in the area of cybersecurity, and that's the gap. We need to fill the gap by training students to be able to tackle all the internal attacks and threats and external threats. We have to have students being trained to see how we can protect the vulnerability of our system. Because it's forecast to say that 170 trillion information can be at risk. So I'm so happy that you're bringing this symposium, putting this symposium together, because the word has to get out there that Jamaica has to do something in training more persons in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose, and thank you to all our panelists for that brief introduction. So as was stated, we will be having a roundtable conversation. We will be having, the rule of engagement is, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, please indicate by raising your hand, and you will be notified as to when you can go ahead and speak. Alternatively, you can add those questions to the chat and we will see them, acknowledge them, and ask the questions to the necessary persons. So let me just begin the conversation. I heard Dr. Thorpe saying that the University of Technology has one of the biggest resources where educating persons in the cybersecurity space is concerned. Is that the case for the UWI and UCC, where they have specific programs geared towards cybersecurity? And if not, is this something in the pipeline?
Let me just start by, since you said UWI and then UCC in that order, I will just start there, Giovanni. So at UB, we have our undergrad computing programs, as I like to say, and computing falls under the broad umbrella, as in this field, which includes computer science, IT, software engineering, information systems. So we have multiple courses. One of the core courses for security is a course called Information Assurance and Security, which are IT students. It's a core for them. It's not a core for computer science majors. And that's just one course which focuses on, let's say, maybe all of security, but security is not just, something that you do alone. It is very much part of your networking. It's very much part of your system administration. It is very much part of when you're developing software, your web apps. It's very much part of understanding what is happening in information systems. So all our courses in second year, not all, as I say, some of these, these topics that I mentioned, there are several courses in those. And all those courses mention or deal with security at those levels. And that specific course, which looks at information assurance and security, which now deals more in depth in the security aspect at the undergrad level. Now, the question we should be asking is if it should be core for everyone, and that's a discussion we are having in the department, whether the security course really is as core as databases and AI for even computer science, because it is very much embedded in anything that we do. So I would not take away security from all the other computing disciplines and treat it as separate, because any graduate of be it IT or software engineering or computer science needs to be aware and needs to be not just aware, needs to be competent in cybersecurity or understanding what security means. Because if we have a system administrator who doesn't understand security, we are in trouble. Because then you're leaving things open. If you're on the cloud, you're leaving things, you're leaving your ports open and that communication, and then we can know the disasters that can happen. If we have a software developer who hasn't done a right job where security is concerned, then again, we have a problem. So at UWI, we have these flavors of technology in all our related courses, and one core course which really looks at the assurance and security aspects. Then at postgrad, we have our master's in computer science, and we actually do have a concentration in cybersecurity. And they do cryptography and in online and social networks and general security topics that are around. So there are 3 or 4 courses which form that concentration. Now, we are also an academic institution, and hence, we also focus on the research that happens in this area. We just had a student graduating, doing his PhD last year, and from this research group. And this research group is which Dr. Busbiel heads that research group is called CIPHER, which is Computer Intrusions, Forensics, and Exploitations Research. And one of the students from this research group just did his PhD in botnets and machine learning. So we are also looking at, from undergrad, postgrad, and the research capability to see how far we can really take this cybersecurity capacity building at all levels, because it's very important to understand that when I often hear people who are not from the field talk about cybersecurity, they talk about as if it's one job. And all of us, I think several of us on this call, on this forum, are from the security area, and we understand it is a spectrum of jobs. Hence, we always have to be mindful that what are we really training our persons for, and that is what we are doing at UWI. We can obviously do more. Looking at the world demand, we can do more. Up to now, we were focusing more on the data science and the data analytics aspect type of courses. And we are looking at, our faculty has created academy of FST, where they can have more certification types of courses. So cybersecurity would obviously be included in the courses which that academy would be offering, which would be more like for postgrad diplomas, for persons or masters, for persons who may not have had that first degree in technology and may want to get into it. So that is what I would say, upskilling, that if you, or you were probably trained in technology like me many years ago when networking wasn't even around, and now you feel, you feel scared about what is happening in security, and you want to get into those areas. So very much so. So, it would be even for those persons.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in if I can.
Before you cut in, Prof,
okay.
Can I just do a follow-up with Dr. Mansingh? The aspect of the broadness of the curricula that really treats with a sprinkling of cybersecurity here and there, given the critical need within the market, is there a feel for what the market requires that really is driving the continued treatment of security as a part of broader courses, or is there now within the market an actual need for specific curriculum that is geared towards preparing cybersecurity practitioners for immediate employment within the sector?
Right, and there was also a question about market driven. So we try to think both. We try to think international curricula and market driven. And often the internships and all tend to be more market driven, and so that we are preparing our students through the internship programs. Now, one issue with being completely market driven is that if you think about certifications are about operations, being efficient in what you are doing. And hence, when you're thinking of, of a degree, you have to manage both what the industry needs just locally and what the industry needs even internationally. So for this, we have these guidelines in curriculum that we try and follow, which is the ACM IEEE guidelines, which actually mandate how many hours of certain topic needs to be covered. But yes, we are very much, we would want to be part of the industry needs and what is happening. And so that more than industry needs, I think we need awareness even from the persons who are coming into this field. I want a day when our students who are participating in the school challenge quiz, the junior school challenge quiz, don't get up and say they want to be doctors, lawyers, or teachers. They're really meaning we need those too, but we also want them to say that they want to be in technology, they want to be cybersecurity experts, they want to be data scientists. And that's the day I'm working for, that awareness comes even at the, our primary and secondary levels, so that when students are choosing their career, making these important career decisions, we are getting more numbers in there. Probably we are training, but then our numbers are very small to really make an impact in the industry. And then for industry, we have to know what levels does industry need. If industry only needs certification, then there are many certifications around also. And probably we have to now think, how do we integrate certifications into academic curriculum? And that is something we are having a conversation in the department and thinking through that. I hope I answered the question.
You have, ma'am. Prof, we'll take your quick comment and then we go to Ms. Rose.
Well, since 2003, thank you, the University of Technology, Jamaica had introduced a core course in computer security, being mindful of the need to prepare a job market. It was then a single course in the curriculum offered to second and third year students, where over 400 students would take the single course. It would introduce them to the 101 concepts of cryptography, confidentiality and integrity of systems, network security, a fairly broad course that gave the students hands-on basics. It's highly laboratory. And it went well for about 5-6 years. And many companies in the Jamaican landscape here and the Caribbean hired graduates to support their businesses relating to those skills garnered from those students. But at the time, it was a very general course, and it was offered within the general Bachelor's of Computing program. Fast forward, 16 years later, we had done a job readiness studies consistent with what you had just asked Dr. Mansingh. We had done a full market analysis since 2017, considering the increased landscape of threats that we saw in the market and the higher demand from local institutions. I didn't even go to the international institutions and the 2.3 million jobs that I heard Natasha referring to in the other market spaces. Just our own local market needs was demonstrating that there was a demand reaching almost 98% of every other company needing to have cybersecurity provisions. We are now in 2021. The pandemic has certainly demonstrated the need to fast track that. We are now at a student cadre of over 300 students who take a specialized degree in computing and network security by itself. So over the decade, what has happened at UTech in particular is that there was a bundle of courses, starting with a general course in computer security, then one very specific in network security, then one very specific in software security. I'm still only dealing with the undergraduate now, such that we have recognized that the market has to have a larger cadre of our workforce who are cybersecurity trained just to support the regular business operations of companies. And if you're a small, medium-sized business or you're a large business, this is a high demand. And I don't have hands to be providing these graduates now. So with that said, we have elicited from the studies, the job readiness studies, to show that very specifically there are areas that we have to pay attention to. Cybersecurity is broken down into quite a few sub-areas, from software security, networking, threat intelligence, critical infrastructure protection. These are some of the areas that are jumping out that local and regional companies in particular have been asking for. So we have actually built out an entire degree track in that, and it is fully subscribed. Then there's the whole space that complements that cybersecurity track, which is infrastructure. We started with the virtualizations of the infrastructure, but as we are seeing, everything has moved to a cloud, and everything is fast moving to the fog and cyber physical systems between the fog and the cloud. The general public needs a sensitization around many of these things plus practice. So we are not only in the business of providing and promoting curriculum to over 300 students who we are preparing for the workforce. We are also making the courses available as stackable credentials. And what that means is that the general public can come in and take shorter versions of the courses as a part of going back into the workspace, the immediate workspace. And that is very helpful to many. And usually they come in the summertime or week evenings or on weekends. Now that we're in a pandemic, we seek to make all of this kind of provisions online. So that has been a trajectory of where we have been with our undergraduate programs. And even still, based on the demands that we are getting, we still believe that we are over 40% short in terms of that market demand right now. I am seeking to double that number as a part of the provision going forward. All right, so with that said, so that's a historical, chronological background of factual data analysis that supports where, even just in our Jamaican/Caribbean market, we have these high demands. We have also introduced a graduate program in information systems with a specialized enterprise security track, which is fully subscribed every year. We have about 20 students, 20 to 30 students on average who come into the program at that level. And these days, I can almost say every single one of them are now jumping with some level of preference to do that enterprise security track. So the demand, there's no doubt about the demand and the needs of the profession, local and abroad. What I can say is that after we have finished training them, there's a knock on the door from near shores, North America and Canada and Europe, asking quietly to hire these talents. So between doing our short course training that include like the police force and otherwise, and training and retooling existing professionals, as soon as they get the training, and I'm talking just about the academic, I don't even go into the professional certification courses that are accessible. Many of them are actually moving and leaving our shores. And that is where you have part of the systemic problem of how you meet the demand and supply of even our own local market. And those are things we have to take into account. So we at UTech in particular, seeing that's the stance from which I'm presenting this argument this morning, we are prepared to keep supplying that pipeline. We have to have a pipeline, a large sustainable pipeline, because cybersecurity is pervasive in every field. It is ubiquitous in terms of the daily operations of every organization, including ourselves in the academia. And let me not miss the opportunity to say, with the imminence of the data protection to be gazetted shortly and a commissioner to be appointed, this matter becomes exacerbated, where that the awareness of the general public, not just to the trained professionals who we are sending out there, will require large-scale cybersecurity awareness education. I open the floor and leave the floor to the continued conversations here, because this is something that we have to work together on, large or small, and I'm not taking anything out of anybody's shoe or pocket to say that UTech has positioned itself over the years to provide this larger workforce, but it also means that smaller institutions and institutions that have smaller programs or no programs, we should look at the collaborative opportunities in which we can provide these career tracks. So we have an undergraduate, we have a graduate track. As it relates to research, we have in the past 5 years created strong cybersecurity.
Prof, I am going to pull the plug on you right there, because we will come back to the research. We will come back to the research question later. But we want to hear what Ms. Rose has to say with respect to the original question asked by Mr. Hewitt. And so we will take her views at this point, and then we will come back to the other points that you raised. And you raised some very critical points that we will revisit as the session progresses.
Okay, thank you so much. Most of our students here are working individual. Over 90% of our students are already in a job. So there's a need for this area of cybersecurity. We did a market research. We realized that a lot of companies are asking their employees to either go into the field due to the pandemic. Now, when the pandemic started, a lot of persons were working from home. And because of that, there were a lot of security risks going on. There was also increase in cyber criminals. So this year, we introduced our first cybersecurity course, which is a BSc in networking with cybersecurity. We start getting in a lot of students in that area. Some of our existing bachelors in information technology moved over because there was a demand from their workplace to start getting some experience in it, because their company needed some security of their data and information. So we have that program running. As you know, that we also have the UCC Global. So we partner with overseas universities, and we also are introducing the cybersecurity course for students that are international students and local students, and it is also in the area of cybersecurity. We are currently doing a master's program in data privacy and protection and cybersecurity. And we keep on developing. One recommendation we had make to the university is have a new department called cybersecurity engineering. Companies had called us asking, just like how you're asking, what are we doing to upgrade our students in this area? And I think this is a viable area where students are able to choose based on what is going on with the pandemic and after the pandemic, if there's something called after the pandemic. But this is something that is increasing. And we need to do something. So our university, my department, we are pushing it out there that, hey, we want to more develop our student. Now, in our program, We have professional certifications. We have over 7 professional certifications from CompTIA, which is our major partner. We also partner with Fortinet. So the students are getting 2 things. They're getting their degree, and they're also getting their professional certification. A lot of our students, after they finish our program, they migrate to Canada. We have seen students migrating from to Canada and to the United States. And because of those professional certifications, they are able to go straight into a job. We have students in the department from Dubai, Japan, China, and they are all doing the networking with cybersecurity. And because of this, the programs seem to be working. And that's all I have to say about that cybersecurity that is introduced at our institution.
Right, so thank you to the 2 ladies and gentlemen for a fairly comprehensive overview of the formal tracks that you really are offering to the general marketplace. But when we look at how the levels of digitization have come out of the need for mixed modalities, particularly from the requirements for learning and for working from home as well as commerce, there is a prevailing question that really I am yet to hear any of you address, and that is, do we have a fix on what the skills gap for the Jamaican marketplace is right now? And if so, even though we're appreciative of the fact that there are over 2 million jobs short worldwide, based on where companies are, based on where government is there a feel for what the numbers deficit within the Jamaican workspace is? And are we really aligning our programs to match the requirement in the shortest possible time, not necessarily rapid prototyping, but to give companies, and Dr. Thorpe mentioned the DPA, which will come on stream very shortly, and with it 2 years to put certain requirements in place. But is there an understanding and appreciation of what that deficit is in the Jamaican marketplace right now? We start with Ms. Rose and then work it back to Dr. Thorpe. Have we lost her? All right.
Sorry,
Dr.
I think
Mansi.
my internet is really bad, so
Okay. Okay, so the foibles of technology. Dr. Mansing will take you, Dr. Thorpe, and then come back to Ms. Rose.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. I think you ask a very important question: what is needed in the environment, our environment around us? And I think that's a question which is still being answered. There is a skills assessment and the needs study being done to see what really is needed. And I'm very happy that I don't think in Jamaica we often lack, what are the various initiatives that people are doing. We're not connecting our dots. We have many great programs, we have many great initiatives, and we have one more issues of brain drain too. So even as we're looking at capacity, we're looking at the skills gap that we have in the country, we have to understand that the skills are not, just universal. They are in a whole spectrum of skills, which I find very important for us to get a sense of that. And I think there's a study which is commissioned, and as an output of that study, we can look and see how our programs can, what does the industry need locally, what does the industry need globally, and what does somebody who needs to stay and do research to find that future threats and future research, we are always expanding that barriers is also happening. So I'm looking forward to that study to see how we can, redesign how we are thinking about cybersecurity. Now, as I think Dr. Thorpe had also mentioned, security is in everything in networking, in your software, in your enterprise architecture, in all aspects of what a technology person is in the field. So we can have persons who are, working in certs, but we can even, train people who are doing penetration testing. And there is a big demand for those jobs in the industry just now, from what I have gotten from just talking to people. But we also need persons who can go further than that, who are ensuring that the best practices of cybersecurity, of security, are in their day-to-day practices when they are doing either software development, if they are system administrators, or they're network engineers. All those aspects are very much part of their best practices, and that's what becomes critical. And it's really critical that we understand that as we are moving towards a national ID system, that there will be an increased need. So we just won't have an increased need in Jamaica, but we also have the issue of brain drain. So what do we do to ensure that our persons who are being trained, and the fact that there are security companies in, our near shores who actually see Jamaica as a place to be, rather than taking our graduates. Our graduates are doing such a great job, or our security persons from entire Jamaica, from all our tertiary institutions, are doing such a great job that they think about opening centers and offices in Jamaica itself, and that will really enhance that industry. So we have to think along not just the local needs, which is very important, and I'm waiting for that to get the results of the study to see what are these skills and capacity that needs to be really developed. So I can hand over to Dr. Thorpe now.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mansing. So we have been doing those studies ongoing. The knowledge, skills, and abilities of the market are pretty straightforward, even now more so based on what Lieutenant Sterling has highlighted, given the work from home scenarios that she just referred to. Basic skills. There's the web that we all use. We all use this open web to do daily work, to surf, to even have a meeting like this one. And the vulnerabilities in these environments are significant. So in training up the skill set, very granular, what I will tell you is that we train the students on the pillars of what is called the Open Web Application Security Project. We look at those vulnerabilities and we look at the remedial actions necessary to deal with those vulnerabilities. So like your SQL injection attacks, even grandma needs to know what is an SQL injection attack, all right? SQL injection attacks, broken authentication, cross-site forgery attacks on the web, which are all bundling themselves into parts of what we call phishing attacks and even farming attacks that are propagating the web. So from a technical standpoint, the technical workforce will need to be steeped in those credentials specific to protecting or providing critical infrastructure protection for the society at large, in banking, in utilities, even here in education as well. So in terms of that skills and abilities, all right, and when we look at the various frameworks that are out there that are defining them, these skills and abilities we see coming as the end of the themes, the need to have strong background in OWASP. Are we training those people in Jamaica enough? No. Despite UTech being able to produce relatively large number of graduates with these backgrounds, have we even touched the iceberg in terms of being able to resolve the national problem of education and awareness for cybersecurity? The answer is no. And this is where I would contend that even though the studies are there, I'm not sure which source is doing the studies from your side, Dr. Mansing, but what I can say is that at the University of Technology, Jamaica, for us to even have new degrees being offered we have to present to the university a very detailed needs analysis that capture these concerns. So I do know other stakeholders do come to us for meetings as a reference point as it relates to these results. So we have been doing the studies. The issue is execution. And the need now to have national programs, which is where I think the Jamaica JaCIRT will be very critical to playing a bigger role. Members in government, the different government agencies, private sector agencies, bigger public-private sector partnerships, along with the universities being a part of that type of a dialogue and activity relating to those outcomes. I'm now prepared, and I'm willing to say it here in this meeting, let us continue these national cybersecurity roadshows virtually with the view of having proper sensitization workshops specific in the curriculum to get our Jamaican people up to speed on these various things. You are seeing that even in COVID-19 now, you can actually security compromise your health cards for such a very sensitive matter of lives. So therefore, I took those out of the stack to suggest that that is one major area at the root level that has to be captured. Managerially, to support and provide for security, another gap that has been identified is the type of managers that we should be preparing and training to support this large ecosystem of ours in terms of pushing the security agenda out there. There's a national security strategy plan. I mean, I was looking at it. Human capacity for us in the education field is the critical pillar. And against the background of that, in addition to training a technical operational workforce in large base of the society, we also have to spend some time training the equivalent of the managers and the visionaries who will be required to keep incorporating this agenda going forward if we are going to be truly a digital society. So it's a very opportune time to look at this and to do the kind of deep dive workshops and assessments and case studies, and to get even grandma, I'm just going to use grandma as my reference point here, even grandma who will tell she comes from a different time period. Grandma needs to be able to understand that end-to-end her data must now be secure on our smartphone, and if she's going to buy something on a digital platform, what she should and should not do. So those are the areas I'm seeing at scale, Chair, that we need to be paying attention to.
I hear you, Prof. And I get the feeling that both you and Dr. Mansing are quite aware of the skill sets that are required for your graduates to possess. But what I'm failing to get from the question that was really posed is, so we know worldwide there are 2 million jobs. Can we say in Jamaica that we need 150 cybersecurity specialists within the next year?
Thank you. It's 1,000. Let me jump in right away. Okay, sorry for that omission. It's 1,000 that the demand is. It's 1,000 graduates we need on average to be producing every 24 months, every 12 to 24 months. That's how high the demand is for producing these cybersecurity engineers, because it should be understood that every set of professionals that are coming out there, regardless of the background, have to have that concentration of the cybersecurity profile and skill set. So that is a very specific answer coming from the data, the empirical data that have been positive. So even though I'm here seemingly blowing a horn that I have 300, I'm still short. I'm still short, because what will have to happen as well to buttress and provide that kind of outcome to the market, we need to keep building the critical infrastructure within the learning institutions that will be able to provide mentorship and teaching and training support to this larger cadre of our workforce. So there's the combination of the vendor-specific training skills and tying that into this loop. But the empirical data from our studies show that even with what we at UTech are doing, what Dr. Mansing is doing, what Natalie is doing at UCC and the other institutions that may not be here, combined, we still have not produced half the required labor force to support the kind of outcomes needed to drive this forward. But we're probably still one of the bigger ones in the Caribbean anyway, providing it at scale, but we are still,
Right.
we still have a way to go. We still have a way to go.
So I appreciate that number, and you know, I'm sure that Dr. Mansing, and I want to acknowledge Dr. Busby Earl as well, who has joined the call, would probably have a similar number. And if they don't, the question is why. But we will allow Ms. Rose to add her views to this, and then we'll come back to it. What I want for all to consider as we move forward, though, is given the gap between what we're able to put out and what is required, what are the considerations for shortening, for shortening that learning time and taking or giving credit for on-the-job experience certifications gained on the job. But we'll come back to that after we hear from Ms. Rose.
Thank you so much. Sorry about the internet. I know my internet is a little bit unstable at work when I'm using the Wi-Fi. All right, so last year, the government of Jamaica sent us a national strategy, cybersecurity strategy, to fill out, to add to what they have. And based on the data, they are saying that 52% of the companies here that said that there's a need for persons to be trained in cybersecurity. They also said that that's over 60% of respondents reported they could not conduct cybersecurity incident response exercise because they did not have enough persons who are trained to do so. And there were some more data that I have, but you know, based on the fact that I'm just being, I have to be pulling it out from the document I have in front of me. But there's a lot of data that has been conducted here in Jamaica last year on so it's government of Jamaica partnering with the OAS, and these are things that we got from them. The threat analysts, they say that yes, their 40% indicated that there is a big threat assessment here in Jamaica, and there's a risk for companies in the cybersecurity field. And they're saying that based on that, there's a big need for these individuals to be trained. So because they don't have enough trainees, they have to be looking overseas internationally to collaborate with international companies so that their infrastructure is secured. And they asked what kind of recommendation like UCC could do to make sure that these individuals are trained within the next 2 or 3 years. Our program is 4 years, but a lot of our students can finish the program before 4 years if they take more courses each semester. So that was something that came out from the government of Jamaica. Thank you.
Right, so I'm not sure if Dr. Mansing wants to take the shine or she is pitching it to Dr. Busby Earl, but we'll go with either of you first and then Dr. Thorpe.
I will actually hand over to Dr. Busby Earl, but there's one question that always comes to me, and I'll just share that thought and hand over to Dr. Busby Earl, that when I hear our environment talking about the jobs they need, What are those? What type of skills and knowledge does those jobs require, and what are those jobs? I don't know if I personally have clarity on that, and I think Dr. Busbiel may have more because he's in that field. So I will just hand over to him now, Lieutenant Colonel, if that's okay.
That's fine. Welcome, Dr. Busbiel.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me participate in this, what has already been a very interesting discussion so far. So in hearing what was said in terms of the needs and the skill sets, and what I've also seen on the chat, I agree with Dr. Mansing and Professor Thorpe and others in that there is still a tremendous need for people who are trained at various levels. And on what are some of those various levels? Well, there is a need for incident handlers, those who can manage incident responses. And there also are gaps and needs for those with more technical skills. And I agree, and also I've found over the years, I'm sorry for the sudden background noise, that statistics and data for Jamaica has been quite small, and that's also been an issue. But what we have been doing as well from UE standpoint, because I've seen in the few minutes that I've joined that there have been some studies that have been conducted on the skill sets and needs and so on, and the shortage of the types of required skills in our environment. But we've been focusing on that technical side and not on the assessment of the numbers and so on. And so we've been looking at things like botnets and developing cryptographic algorithms to some extent, and looking at the more technical side. I know, in addition to what UTech has been doing, that recently the GSSC has launched a program to start to train those who either have no previous exposure in the field of cybersecurity, to also those who would like to transition into the field. And so I see that there are a number of opportunities that are starting to become available to those who are interested in cybersecurity, and that could help to address the deficit that has already been identified in the local industry. And that also, sorry, I believe, would provide the initial answer as to the levels and the types of skills that I saw a question in the chat, where what are those levels? What are the skills? The skills range from somewhere at the entry level, where you'd be something along the lines of an incident handler, to those who can write, configure, look at malware, look at other types of attacks, and actually write something that could be used to prevent or to mitigate, and to also develop eventually types of products that maybe Jamaica can start to produce.
Thank you, Dr. Busbiel. Dr. Thorpe?
Yes. Yes, Lieutenant. So there's another component of the knowledge and skills and abilities that we have not mentioned. There's the hard skills for which we just discussed, definitely very relevant. But there's an element of soft skills required in the profession as a part of the attributes of who makes the rounded professional. Very specifically, I'm talking about things like social engineering behavior, the whole issue of emotional intelligence, quotient. These things were never normally taught in school. Everybody who is here on this call, let's all be reasonable to ourselves. This was not something in any curriculum, in the formal school curriculum. And when you reflect on the nature of the cyber attacks that are hitting us, many of them I would dare say, are a result of social engineering activities, which is not necessarily a hard technical discipline of a skill that we're trying to appreciate. It's just people going in an organization and convincing others to give them the data that they already have, albeit through the trust they have established over time, and they obtain that data and use it for nefarious purposes. Now, in the curriculum, we have to contend that, you know, training specific to emotional intelligence is necessary. 2, the skills training relating to ethics, and whereas traditional universities carry professional ethics courses, there's also the ethics relating to how the technologies are used to perpetuate attacks. So for example, in our curriculum now, and with our newer degrees coming out shortly in 2022, we have decided to put things like artificial intelligence ethics. So if you suffer a cyber attack, and we contend that is a machine that brought down the system and not human, these are all new realities that we'll have to deal with. So there's still this kind of revisiting, consistent revisiting and repivoting of how we treat that type of skills assessment. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put it at the top of the list that you have to provide that kind of human interactive training in order to handle many of these technical concerns. Because if I teach a set of students malware forensics in the university, I have to look at sandbox now to protect the university environment, because those same students, based on the ethics of it, there's no guarantee that they come out and be a part of the workforce we are talking about. They may decide to go on the other side of the law to be a part of the problem as opposed to being a part of the solution. So when we think about this thing carefully and realistically, the human element is the weakest link. And hence, in our curriculum, we have to buttress it with a stronger focus on that soft skills component, with the view that, you know, students should be learning emotional intelligence. I said to myself one day, we have to come to school to learn that, but you'll be so surprised that the culture that we now live in, you may take it for granted, where families used to have that passed on through their oral traditions. It doesn't necessarily happen anymore because most families are working. So the youngsters who are learning security and learning to protect things, and everybody's in social media, they may do something which is really criminal and think it's fine. That's the workforce we are preparing. And hence, it means there has to be a casual of us, which is why I said we need strong security managers, persons with the vision of and focus to be able to recognize and realize these things. Not only really here in Jamaica, because it's a global problem, but as you said, we're focusing on Jamaica today. We need that type of focus, that type of integration. And I put it to you that the JaCIRT should have a program running on a virtual roadshow that looks at the emotional intelligence component piece of this. Because for us, it's supposed to be the biggest piece of any curriculum. Then we move on to the technical components. It will make the cyber attacks, in my opinion, less anticipating, especially from our people, from our Jamaicans, right? And deal with more an outside force where that has to be I think the bigger thrust going forward. But we wouldn't like to have the problem that the people who we are upskilling are the same people who are bringing down our systems. Plus we have to deal with the people outside who are also, for whatever nefarious reasons, having the same kind of agenda. That's my 2 cents on that skill component.
And I hear you, Prof. And I really appreciate where you are as far as preparing the next cadre of cybersecurity professionals. But for those IT professionals who are employed somewhere,
yes,
who, because of the pervasive risks from APTs, yes, and the insider threat, whether malicious or unwitting, you have a situation where they're forced to be doing the sort of security work that is there. And what they're not hearing from formal educational institutions is that if you have been working in this field for 5 years, 10 years, we will give you or allow you certain credits towards the achievement of a degree. Or if you've achieved certain certifications in this area or that area, then we will look at it from this way, so that even though the requirements are not different in terms of the end state of the skill you're getting, we're taking into consideration your experience on the job or the additional certification that you have. So I'm not really hearing how
I have two answers to that. If I can share, I have two answers to that and release it back to the floor. There are two answers to your question. One of them is going to be a little bit controversial, but let's start with the non-controversial one first. As it relates to persons coming back and getting a degree, you know, an assessment of how many such persons there are is always on a case basis. So persons will want to come back and say, okay, I need to retool to get a cybersecurity degree at, you know, the undergrad level or component at the graduate level. We are doing very well as it relates to graduate level training, but as UTech, nationally, other programs would have to have that same agenda. And I think listening to Natasha just now and Bob, I think there's that intent. Very specifically though, I don't think you have any challenge in persons getting that opportunity to retool. We put stackable credentials in the curriculum now, which means persons in the public, and if you understand what is meant by that, you can come and you had done a degree in history. Let me take ourselves out of ITs. You could be in the workforce, not only in information technology, but in any other field. Any other field. Let it be made clear here in this forum. Any other field. And those persons can come and take the equivalent of graduate certificates in cybersecurity, which might be a minimum that these persons will require to function in the field. And we have persons now doing that in terms of the numbers, still small numbers. So in other words, we don't have 200-300 persons doing that. You may have 10, 15 at a time, all right? So it is happening, but the scale is not as where we probably would like it to be. And of course, linked to that is the whole issue of cost and funding and people who have to budget their finances to do that type of education, except the ones that we'll offer for free, where we expose persons to things and provide them with that type of awareness session, because some people only would like that. In the context of what you have asked, and I'm going to be very pointed here as to why we have this weakness in terms of building out the capacity that we would like. The IT community that has been practicing for over 2 decades, the training that they have been exposed to, not necessarily through the academia, but based on the workforce itself. You invest in tools, So what obtains, you don't open the toolbox, you use the tools to provide security of all things and anything else, automation and so on. If something goes wrong with the tools, those practitioners cannot open the tools by law to verify if what they are looking at is the source of the problem. And it is so expensive under service level agreements to maintain these tools, which could be a security hazard in of themselves. So what it means definitively is that the national workforce in education for cybersecurity, I'm probably not going to write a policy paper for that. I'm going to write a working paper for that and submit it. It means we must go back to a core of the thinking that the academia has been traditional to. I'm not teaching students tools. I'm teaching students code. So the analogy, you drive a car, something goes wrong with it. What do? I open the bonnet and look at the engine, and I look at the parts in the vehicle and try and establish what is going on wrong under the hood. I don't lock the hood and say, oh, let me call the dealer, because I might not be in that situation where somebody could come and rob me on the main road. So if I know what to do there and then, I can fix that problem. Liken that analogy to what is required of the workforce to respond real time to those advanced persistent threats. You are challenged because many of our IT colleagues, you know, they don't want to come into these forums and speak. I must tell you, Lieutenant, there's a boy, Professor Thorpe, you know what? I have to leave that to the company policy says that, and we have to respect that. But it now means that IT management, and that's why I spoke to that, the training for IT management all the way to the C-level, C-suite level, have to understand the importance of security and cybersecurity. Can't be reactive to it. You can't wait on the next colonial pipeline attack to hit you. When it hits you, that will be too late. So you have to now retrain the staff in terms of how to work beyond the tools that you buy in the market. The problem is exacerbated, Lieutenant Sterling and colleagues on this call, when the country is moving forthwith that we need the ICT authorities, we need the NIS and so on, when many of the underlying functions of those operations will require that the current IT workforce needs to be completely retrained. And it's not just taking the classes alone, which is important, but UTech's policies work ready graduates. Once they're doing that academic level training, we do the internships at the same time that, listen, if you need a new tool to provide incident response, we can have our own in Jamaica. And if you need tools to actually do malware analysis and forensics in the lab, we have our tool in Jamaica. Because it's expensive to purchase it and we are challenged. So that workforce realignment, and it's a big white elephant in many rooms about what the universities and all these institutions on the island should be doing. But the workplace itself is a university and it has its own culture. But the culture of it has to go back to our principle. The tools are failing in many instances, and hence we have to now be the creators of tools that can support and supply the needs of our cybersecurity space as a part of the solution. And I'm not just trying to answer your question generically. It is a pointed response that should urge persons to realize that this has to be happening. I'm actually why I'm paying attention. The students who are students of the hard skills and have great soft skills can go into the organizations and say, instead of buying this product, here is a product that we can use and demonstrate it for local purposes. Isn't that more powerful? Isn't that the kind of workforce you want? That is the kind of workforce that Estonia, by equivalency, when you do the case studies. Prime Minister of Estonia was here the other day. They build out their own. And if I use them as a model or a footprint for how they have implemented cybersecurity education, that is where we need to be going. And I pass it back to the panel.
Thank you, Dr. Thorpe. So what I'm hearing from you is that the IT workforce is really a user of black boxes that doesn't necessarily qualify them for a shortened version of the upskilling required within the formal education sector. Dr. Busby, Miss Rose, is this also your experience when you treat with adult type learning tracks?
Well, first, sorry. First,
all right, we'll take Miss Rose and then Dr. Busby.
Okay. First and foremost is that we do look at the track and we update it based on what the market is saying. I heard you talking about, you didn't hear us saying about if a student or a person already have these certification, what do they do when they come into the university? When a student has certification in the different areas, we use them as transfer credits, so they don't have to redo them. Once it is valid, and we do have a lot. I remember this semester here, we had a student from Montego Bay. He has certification from CompTIA in Security Plus, Server Plus, Cloud Plus. And we use them within and give him as credit toward his bachelor's degree. So it's not something that we like disregard and say no. It's something that we will be, either we use it as an elective, and we use some of those courses too, so he doesn't have to redo those certification over. So it's making the student viable in the work world, and it helped the businesses, because now students who want to do the certification on their own and they don't want to come in and pay for the course and then do the certification afterward, that we allow that. As long as they can show that certification that it is valid. And as we said, we speak with Leonard from CompTIA. We can go on the website, we can check it. If it is Fortinet, we collaborate with Fortinet. We check to see if that certification is valid, and we use it. So we are very flexible in that sense. The track, we change our track every 4 years. And before even the 4 years comes, we keep on changing it. So if we have like a certification in AWS, we bring it to the curriculum committee and said, you know what, there's a need for certification in AWS. We need it for students to do and use it as an elective. If there's something in any other part of security, we use it. Quality assurance, we use them. So we keep on modifying our program just to fit the demand out there. And it's not only demand locally, because the companies are speaking with us. They call my department and say, Natalie, this is what I need from my employees. How can your bachelor's program help the employee? And we say, okay, let me see. We'll bring it to the advisory committee. And these advisory committee are CEOs, banks, they're from managers from the telecommunication. So they are working individuals. So we listen to them. We hear what they have to say. We hear what the students are saying. We hear what the employees are saying. And we make those changes to our program. So by the time they finish the 4 years, they are able to adjust within the working world.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Dr. Busby.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So to speak specifically again to the question that you had raised, there thankfully are different approaches to how one can provide training in certain, but in areas, in any area for that matter of fact. Cybersecurity is no different from any other in that respect. In other words, there are many other professions, there are many other areas where there are people who already are professionally engaged to some level, to some degree, or in some capacity, that may not have had formal training, or they may have had some certification in that field that provides them with some professional support. Now, in terms of what the university, UE, what UE does, because obviously I can't speak to the others. In terms of if someone is certified or has some certifications and would like to then take that and have those certifications be counted towards their degree, no. What does happen is that we do consider it in terms of one's application to acceptance into a program. And we can see that if, for example, someone does not have prior formal academic training, for example, in a particular field, but they do have some certifications, then that would be considered in accepting someone into that particular academic program. And why is that? Well, over the years, and like other professional endeavors, the certifications typically, and in cybersecurity, provide an individual with knowledge in a particular area, typically with a particular tool set. But as I had mentioned earlier, we would like to create an individual who not only is able to use tools, but understands how to create a tool. And that's important because we don't want someone who is able to use tool X today. But as we all know, cybersecurity is exceedingly dynamic. And so there are new types of attacks, new types of threats that occur daily, monthly, yearly. And so we would like to be able to create someone who can address these new types of attacks with maybe a new tool or to create another tool. And so by providing the knowledge that can be then applied to any type of attack or any circumstance thereafter, because you have that underlying knowledge and that underlying skill set is of great and tremendous value. And it can then typically with that academic qualification can then be used to get other types of professional certifications that can then allow an individual to enhance their skill set and enhance where they're able to work within the cybersecurity environment. And so we are then able to create that skill set, that cadre of people in our environment who can work not just at the lower levels, but at the level of those that provide and think of strategy and any other that would be required in the environment. And so just to recap, the specific answer is if someone has certifications, no, they typically won't be included as credit toward their degree, but it is considered in terms of the application to the programs, especially when someone does not have formal training otherwise in the field of cybersecurity. And this is at both the undergraduate and at the postgraduate levels that these things are considered. I hope that answers your question, Jay.
Thank you, Dr. Busby. It does. And it is interesting to note the varied approach to how we consider prior certification and experience on the job. However, it is also encouraging to hear that it will be considered in one way, shape, or form. The fact of the matter is that your new trainees are not necessarily coming in at the pace or being put out at the rate that you would like. And certainly for those persons who are there, irrespective of the nature of their certification or the length of time on the job, they are forced to do the work in order to shore up the security perimeter and ensure the continuity of business. I will kick the remaining questions over to my co-host, Mr. Hewitt, and then I'll probably return for the wrap. However, it is a very delicate balance that we really have to strike between just training persons, because there is a curriculum, and training persons who are going to be able to be, as Dr. Thorpe said, work ready and is able to be incorporated in an existing work environment, whether with supervision, without supervision, with a lot of supervision as an apprentice, or even for internships. So that level of training is really critical. So I turn it over to Mr. Hewitt, and I'll probably return for the wrap.
Thank you, Colonel Sterling. It was indeed a fruitful discussion. We've had a bit of mouthful there to digest, but it is good to know that there is a vast amount of availability of training opportunities available onto persons that are interested in joining the field. But let us have a little discussion on the affordability portion of it, because we do know that, hey, I want to do it, but can I afford to do this kind of training? What is the comparison between the cost of getting any form of certification from the various institutions that are online with us now in comparison to, let's say, somewhere else globally? And in terms of the general pay scale for persons that we know that on average what somebody may be getting, what's the level of affordability there? I'll go back to Dr. Busby and take it from there.
Sure, thank you. Well, compared to other universities, we are extremely affordable. As a matter of fact, if you were to take a look at North American and European universities, and those that either offer programs where you can complete with either a degree in cybersecurity or a degree in, let's say, something with computer science with a focus on cybersecurity. You're looking, for example, in North America, at anywhere upwards of $60,000 US a year. And it's also typically something along a 4-year program. Whereas here at UE, where our computer science program, but we have other programs that also all incorporate cybersecurity in the curricula. As it is UGC funded, then we're looking at typically about $250,000 per year for the program. So we're looking at a fraction of the cost of what it would take to become or to attain your degree here at the University of the West Indies, as opposed to North American or European universities. We at the moment don't offer certifications, but that's to come. We're generally speaking, at both the undergraduate and well, particularly the graduate level, are looking at introducing the opportunity for people to become certified in certain areas, including cybersecurity. And therefore, I hope that's also answered that question. We are extremely competitive with regard to the comparison between UE here at Mona and other universities in North America and Europe in particular, where you would find that we offer programs, and you would see as well that our programs are internationally recognized. We have been and still are rated within the top 1.5% of international universities. These are worldwide universities. And I can also categorically state that part of the consideration has been our approach to partnering with other universities worldwide. In particular, for example, our program that we've had where we partner with an institution in China. That's directly as a result of our collaboration with the Department of Computing. And so we can get the same standard or comparable standard of academic training here at UE Mona, but you're paying a fraction of the cost.
Thank you, Dr. Bosbier. It's good to know that the cost comparison on this end is it's better on this side. I'll ask Dr. Thor to just proceed.
Yes, so consistent, Giovanni, with Dr. Bosbier's comments. You know, the tuition program at UTech for our 4 undergraduate programs that we have there now: animation, security, basic computer science, information systems, and we have 2 new programs coming in January, which will have the same kind of costing. One in AI, very focused, one in AI, and one in game development, game engine development. The cost structure for these programs run about 3,000 US based on the dollar exchange, but it is, I don't want to compare and say, well, the 60, 70,000 US that you pay in the US to get the same thing for 3,000 here is a measure that we're in the same economies of scale. But the quality may equally be better, be good, or even better, which is why a lot of international students have now decided to even register while online in the pandemic now to take the programs from remote. So that's something to look at, where we're having that increased uptake. We do not, however, integrate into the school fees the cost of the certifications. So at UTech, for example, we maintain an academy. Under the academy, we have Cisco certification. Students take that a lot, for example. At least now they have moved to the cloud, as we know. And what obtains, it buttresses the graduate that when they finish with the first degree, for example, or even a master's degree, and they want to take the certification in a particular area, they come out the more rounded graduate. But we offer Cisco, we offer Fortinet. We signed an agreement with Fortinet. We did Fortinet training with staff and students. We have VMware, right? And we are just closing a deal now with Azure for what their support structure that they have there. Anything that is new under the stack where you have tools, we introduce our students to it in the core programs, and we invite the public. We invite the public who come, as a matter of fact, and take those short course options in the school. Some might eventually say, you know what, this is so good, let me come and do a full degree program with you. So a lot of those options have been made available to students as an affordable cost. I think we are pretty affordable because a short course training might work out to be about 25,000 to 30,000 Jamaican dollars, which is a little bit under $200 US for sometimes 72 hours of training. And you know, the value to the student is a lot. What I do place emphasis on though is that I don't want students, albeit in our core programs or the general public, to take some of these certifications, which I call certification mills, because the certification mills can be useless, especially when some of them are just simply there to take the money, but when you finish the certification, you can't get a live salary income. That's unprofessional, it lacks transparency there. I will not call any name of those type of certification mills on the program, so, but I'm just saying that to say the alignment of cost is such that I think we are providing healthy costs, but I think we want to do a lot more for those persons who are underrepresented and unrepresented, and they have very little access to the type of finances, but they are bright people. We are about the business of offering scholarships to those kind of persons as well, to let them get chances in our programs of studies. Like as we speak right now, I have some students who will be going on scholarships to take up some of these options. So we have to mix the bundle a bit to try and get as large a representation and more of our Jamaican people getting this cybersecurity training. It's an ongoing work. It will require continuous improvement, but cost-wise, I think we are doing well. And I think we want to do more by getting more access to training opportunities now more than ever, where we're doing a lot of it online. I think the online sometimes, you know, work out so fantastic once you have the persistent internet, of course, to help a lot more students and a lot more people with the upskilling. So that's my 2 cents on that, Giovanni.
Thank you, Professor Thorpe. Ms. Rose, are you here?
Here, thank you so much. Our program is quite affordable. Our local pay a lesser cost than the Caribbean or international students. Wouldn't be able to tell you the monetary funding on that, but in Jamaica is $10,000 per credit. However, for the certification courses is the same. So just a regular course or a certified course, the cost has not increased. However, with these certification courses, CompTIA give our students 67% discount on training materials, up to 67% on training materials. And on the certification voucher, they get up to 52%. Now, this is very good for the students because in our IT department, we have over 20% of our students that reside in America. We have students residing in Canada, about 5% of our IT students reside in Canada. They could have opted to go to their university there, but they choose to come to Jamaica. The furthest we have our students is from is Dubai. And when they finish their certified course, they go ahead and take the exam. Once the student finish or graduated from our university as an alumni, they still get that discount. They have the privilege of getting the discount. So we have students who just want to do the course, but after they finish getting to the job, they ask to get the discounted on the exam vouchers because now they can concentrate on getting the certification. So, you know, because of that flexibility, the students are taking advantage of that. And as you know, we have our online from 2012, and because of the simulators that comes with these certification courses, which is a good tool, so they don't really have to see the physical device. Based on the simulator, is actually looking like at a device, a virtual device, and it tells you, it's very interactive, because it will tell you if you're putting in or configuring a wrong interface for your router, or you're trying to change your switch and to an IP address, and it's not the right one. You're using a broadcast IP address instead. So it's very interactive, these simulators, and the students are able to grasp better. So when they finish these certification courses, it's no problem for them to go into the company and do the same thing on their Cisco routers. So, or if it's a Fortinet router, it's the same thing, because it's quite, it's like you're in a 3D environment. So, the students are learning a lot, but the cost is quite affordable. And that's the reason why they are coming here. Now that we have the UCC Global, we're getting a lot of international students. And they're coming here not just because of the location, but it's mainly because of the cost.
Thank you, Ms. Rose, and the other panelists that respond. Just a quick question from Facebook. It is saying may not be directly related to the program here, but what program do you have available for AI? And I will have that to send that to Dr. Thorpe.
Thank you for that question. So we have a new AI program that starts in January 2022. That is the expectation now, based on the approval rounds, where we will focus heavily on machine learning and deep learning at all levels to support the curriculum. As a matter of fact, it is finding overwhelming support. The traditional degree programs in the universities, not just limited to UTech, but I'm sure UII has it, and even UCC and otherwise. There might be generic 1 or 2 courses there that speak to introducing a student to artificial intelligence and its remit. But we have decided to move out of the blocks and offer a full curriculum up to 4 years with options for stackable credentials that the public as well as the larger graduating communities can be a part of. So we are building out in that curriculum, as I said, machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, just to keep that at a high level. And we are looking at other areas like computer vision as a part of the build out. Large systems today and going forward is going to rely heavily on that type of skill set. And we here in Jamaica have to be a part of that skill set going forward. We already start getting the resources to troubleshoot the program as of January. So we'll take a cohort of about 70 minimum. So we welcome persons wanting to do that. So with that said, we have projects we're already working on ahead of the degree start, for local companies and otherwise in this area of AI. So for example, chatbot designs, large-scale robotic designs, conversational, what you call conversational AI, where we use natural language processing to build out those systems, right? These are subspaces of the profession that are not very well covered in the traditional curriculum. But the studies have now shown that you must play ahead of the curve to deal with this. And so, you know, that is what is happening. This is going to be available at the same cost, by the way, that the traditional programs are offered right now. So if persons who are here are abroad and otherwise, you are welcome to look at the university as a University of Technology Jamaica as one of your options. We will also be providing a build out of that undergraduate program subsequently to look at you know, a graduate level in AI as a special focus. But for right now, it is going to be at the undergraduate level because there's so much in terms of the skills, the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities that the market is short of. Right? So this is just about a month and a few days away. So look forward to the promotion and the promoting of that new curriculum. And we're all offering that presently online in virtual laboratories. Yes.
Sounds good, Dr. Thorpe. And is there anything from the UWI Mona campus, Dr. Busby?
Yes, thanks, Chair. So we also have a course that we've offered for many years now at the undergraduate level for artificial intelligence. But what we also tend to do is our research. And so in September, as in last month, one of my students, and I have to speak on what I specifically know, for example. He successfully defended his PhD thesis, and the work that we had done is we had developed a method that, a machine learning method, I should say, sorry, that was used and applied to the detection of botnets. And so that's, as you know, machine learning is a subset in the field of artificial intelligence. And as another example, in the sister campus at St. Augustine, I was an examiner for another thesis still in the field of cybersecurity, where he also successfully defended his PhD thesis in the field of steganography. And so we have a mix where we still want to provide that underlying skill set, knowledge, ability with the courses that we offer, not just in AI, but in security generally. And at the master's level, we also have courses that are geared towards providing the knowledge in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. And we, in addition to those taught courses that, as you said, provide the basis, we also are creating. And so our work, our research in, again, in particular, the CIPHER group, the Computer Intrusions, Forensics, and Exploitations Research Group at UWI, we are actively researching in the field of cybersecurity and machine learning, and also still offer courses in artificial intelligence and related fields.
Thank you, Dr. Busby Earls. I like the forward-thinking progress that I'm hearing from the schools. Miss Natalie Rose?
Yes, we're in the process of rolling out a new department, which is in cybersecurity engineering. And in that program, in that department, we're going to be offering a BSc in data science that will encompass the AI, machine learning. We're going to be using the data robot AI cloud platform and big data and all of those different courses. So that is something that will be coming out next year at UCC, because we have been pushing it to the academic council so that we have a different department from information technology and cybersecurity engineering.
Thank you. Yes, so the universities seem to be doing a forward-thinking approach. I appreciate the effort in saturating the field with diverse level of training for the field. As we have other questions being asked by our participants or listeners, someone is interested in knowing if they possess several years of experience within the field, let's say, for instance, networking or digital forensics, will that be a consideration for exemptions within them completing their degrees? Ms. Rose, you can start. We'll start back with you.
Right, so it depends. If they have any form of certification while doing the 5 years in the field, then we surely would look at transfer credits or exemptions. So that is something that we take into account. However, if you have the 5 years in that field and you don't have any form of certification, you'll have to still take the courses. It's a policy from UCJ, it's a standard. So we have to abide by that standard for transfer credits or exemptions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rose. It makes no sense I go to Dr. Busby Earl or Dr. Thorpe, seeing that it is a standard right across the board. But is there any additional comments that any of you would like to add, Dr. Busby Earl?
Yes, so as Ms. Rose was saying, they would be considered. For example, if there's a course for which their certification may apply, then consideration would certainly be made in terms of possibly exempting them from a course that is a component of a program. But other than that, what I had said earlier in terms of one's work experience also may be considered in terms of maybe elements of courses or courses that form part of a program. But you see, for example, why it's important to first take a look at these things and to carefully examine them is we have to look and see what certification, what sort of information is provided as opposed to what is required. So let's take, for example, cryptography. And someone has, and anyone in the cybersecurity space would have encountered RSA or AES or any of the other encryption algorithms. And if you're, for example, in the financial sector, with the numerous cards and other types of services that are all pushed online and are electronic, they also require encryption and various schemes. We're seeing NIDS coming on scheme and coming on board at some point in time. That also involves encryption, data privacy. These all require some type of encryption algorithm, and the field of cryptography therefore plays a key role. Now, in order to really and truly appreciate and understand what is involved in encryption, and even to create something in that field, we'd have to analyze and see what a person's background is, and background meaning their exposure to some of the key subject areas that would be required. And in cryptography, for example, one of those key areas is mathematics. And so we could look and see maybe someone had a certification in understanding the RSA protocol, but in order to troubleshoot or to fix or to enhance or to understand when and why an RSA key has to be continuously increased in terms of its size, then we have to understand the equations behind it. And so we have to see what sort of exposure that person may have been privy to in their certification before saying that, well, yes, it could be exempted, or whether it was adequate for the individual to be able to take on the course that would then provide the fundamental understanding of not just RSA, as I've used in my example, but the other encryption algorithms, and thereby, I think, more adequately provide the training in that field that would then be required for our environment here in Jamaica, and actually the region and the world, if that is where that person wants to go. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Busby Earl. Dr. Thorpe, any addition, any comments?
Correct. So Giovanni, there's a standard. There's what you call prior learning assessment evaluation. So we at UTech, we have seen guys with 30 years experience in the field. And what we do an evaluation of that 30 years experience or 15 years, right? Nothing less usually than 10 is the standard, right? But if you have more by way of years, 15, 20, the University of Technology has been very predisposed, I would say, especially over the last 5 to 7 years in evaluating persons in this area who pursue first degrees and to pursue the taught master's degrees. Very specifically, those two. The things that you just heard Dr. Busby Earl refer to in terms of the encryption and so on. If it is a PhD program or Masters of Philosophy program, they would need to have demonstrated really at a significant level some either published work or building out of tools that would allow us to think whether or not we can have them admitted to the MPhil doctoral route. But traditionally, those students have to come with a first degree. But to come in with just pure experience, we admit them for undergraduate studies and up to the taught master's program of study. That's a new approach that the university has done, and it's called prior learning assessment. We have an entire office for that, you know, and that the officer with that portfolio would take all these students and put them through workshops to evaluate them before they go into the program. And while they're in the program of study, they are monitored to see how well they are performing. I'm very happy to share that, you know, quite a few of them have been doing extremely well, especially in the graduate program. And undergraduate program, we have had high levels of consistency where that is concerned. So, you know, I think all 3 institutions here and many others have been very supportive towards that prior learning route.
Thank you, Dr. Thorpe. The discussions have been quite engaging today. I do hope that somebody is now considering to divert over to the cybersecurity space based on the discussions we've had here. As we wrap up this session, I would just have each of our guests that are online with us from the institutions to just give a closing remark before I invite our Colonel Sterling back to the forum. Yes, so I will start with Miss Natalie Rose and then over to Dr. Busby Earl and then Professor Thorpe. So Ms. Rose, your closing statement now.
Thank you so much. Well, I'd like to first thank you for inviting me to this symposium. It was quite an eye-opener to what the other universities are doing. And it shows that there are more work that we have to do as Jamaicans. If we want to actually compete with other international institutions, there are more things that we need to put in place. And as I said that, you know, we have to be flexible with our students. We want to train them for the working world out there for our Jamaican companies and also for international companies with what is going on with the pandemic, where a lot of persons are doing remote working. How are we going to train persons that they can secure their server and data from their workplace? So, you know, there's a demand for that. I mean, the national cybersecurity strategy that came out from government of Jamaica and the OIS, they're saying that only 25% of Jamaicans are really educated in cybersecurity. It means that it left us to think what we as institutions are doing to help the gap to train other people in the area of cybersecurity. And it's an important field, it's a demanding field, and we don't want students to be going overseas to get the training and don't come back. We want them to stay here, train them, stay here, and help build Jamaica to be a better country. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Giovanni, Lieutenant Colonel Sterling, thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this forum. I really would like to congratulate you on the work that you have done. I would also like to say thank you to my colleagues and to all the members of the audience who have been also participating. It's been quite a pleasure engaging and having this exchange with you all. I look forward to where our local environment is going. I mean, looking at where it has come from over the last certainly 10 years to where we are now, having these types of discussions. Looking forward to the types of statistics that hopefully entities like JaCIRT can begin to provide to us, for example, in the academic realm. I really am looking forward to where we're heading, where we are, where Jamaica is itself going. And I would finally like to say to individuals, to people, and to organizations alike, we at the UWI are here. We're ready to assist, to help, and to work with you and collaborate on solving problems that would help, as Ms. Rose said, Jamaica to grow, to help our industries to become safe areas to work in, not just in the physical space, but in the cyberspace. And thank you again for the opportunity, and I look forward to the others that are to come.
All right. I will also now join in and say special thanks to Lieutenant Sterling and the team here, Giovanni, JaCIRT Ministry, for inviting all of us as a university to be a part of this educational space of cybersecurity week, month, I should say, rather not week, but month 2021. I've been listening to many of the other sessions as well, which is quite constructive and useful. So it's a very good job. And despite we are in the middle of a pandemic, we have been able to pivot to ensure that the public dialogue continues and to support this general awareness of the stakeholders. I would want to really say that I've also found it very informative relating to what we are all trying to do to help this space. I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to say we should exercise the opportunity to have ongoing workshops. Literally right now, national data protection workshops are very necessary, and I would want to encourage the CERT to be a part of that type of dialogue. And we at the University of Technology Jamaica would be pleased to work with you in this regard, and to also start probably a cybersecurity series where we look at various areas of the curriculum and see what can be offered in bite sizes for the public. So my call this morning about various issues relating to what we need to do in retooling the workforce, putting my mouth where the money is. Let us be very deliberate and start looking at additional incentive programs where outside of cybersecurity month, you can have special sessions on software security, special sessions on cryptography, like what Dr. Bugsware is saying, special sessions on. So the public, even if they are not, they're going to be the practitioners of all these things. At least the awareness is there. And I think based on our roles as educators, that has to be a priority. But I'm recommending that to the ministry and to JaCIRT in particular. Let's do a roadshow year-long where we have bite sizes of the efforts like what we're doing here, so we can share with the public and to sensitize the public on what we are doing in our curriculum. And we have so many curriculum among us that I'm sure the public could get a diversity of some of the opportunities. AI and cybersecurity, that's a whole space by itself. Game development and AI and cyber. There are so many combinations of things. So I would recommend that, and I look forward to that follow-up and to collaborate as well with our colleagues here who are from the various institutions. If they see that fitting, and the public who is here, if they also see that as a potential opportunity for the continued dialogue on cyber awareness education. Again, thank you all for inviting me today, and I think it was a well spent time that I had with you in this regard. Back to you, Giovanni.
Thank you, Dr. Thorpe. Thank you, Ms. Rose and Dr. Busby Earl. We appreciate all you from the universities taking the time out to be here to inform us. We certainly have learned something new. I would probably start looking into that AI offering I hear Dr. Thorpe talking about. But we appreciate the time that you guys took to be here with us and give us this meaningful discussion, as we have persons within the chat saying it was a great discussion, and I also do endorse that statement. Once again, on behalf of the Jamaica CERT and the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, we send our gratitude to you and your institutions. Thanks again. Next up on our agenda for today, and we are running right in time, like that we're running in time with it, is Mr. Leonard Wadowitz or Wadewitz. I will take the correction when he comes to the forum. He is from CompTIA, and he is the Director of Business Development in the Latin America, Canada. And he will be discussing and giving us the certification tracks within CompTIA. So, Mr. Wadowitz, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen here, and so you don't. Oh, I can't share my screen. It's disabled. Is it possible to share my screen, or should I just talk?
Yes, you can share again.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, let me do it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank the Ministry of Science, Energy, and Technology and JaCIRT and Lieutenant Colonel Sterling for inviting me to participate in this get-together. And hello to all the people I know. There are a lot of names I see on the participant list that people I've met personally, and so nice seeing all of you people again. It's been over 2 years since I've last been in Jamaica, so hopefully I can get back to Jamaica here in the near future. I was asked to talk about certifications and careers, and what I'm going to do today is basically share some views from CompTIA around the world, so you can get a global view of how certifications fit into the preparation of IT professionals and cybersecurity professionals. And then I will talk a little bit about, specifically Jamaica and the Caribbean, and hopefully what I'm sharing will be of some use to both employers and to IT professionals here in this presentation. One of the most important things, I think, if you can walk away with anything from my presentation today, is that you understand that CompTIA is not a company. Many times people keep trying to compare CompTIA to the big IT companies, and while it's nice to hear that people think we're as big as Microsoft and Cisco and Dell, but we're an association. And we were an association that was created by resellers way back in 1985. And these resellers were at that time only selling computers. And they created an association for the same reason that any association is created, is that, you know, they all found themselves with the same challenges and the same needs. And so it made more sense to band together than try to do this as individual organizations. Today, CompTIA is absolutely, definitely global. And we're not just talking about computer repair anymore, because a lot of people, when they hear CompTIA, is like, oh yeah, you make that computer repair certification. We are way, 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 way beyond that. In fact, we even have a council called the Space Enterprise Council, and the members of that are the largest space enterprise companies in the world: SpaceX, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics. Those are the American companies that are members. And then we have space enterprise councils from Europe and Latin America and Asia that are members of this council. We have an artificial intelligence council, and we have a cybersecurity council that now is focused on sharing, being a clearinghouse on sharing information about all the threats that are existing or might ever exist. And so we're very focused on anything related to global cybersecurity. We're focused, not focused. We also have a council, for example, on the whole drone technology. How's that going to work? So we've become extremely diverse, and basically anymore, we don't call ourselves a IT association. We're a technology association. We're very focused on education. In fact, CompTIA itself now is delivering training directly in the United States and in the United Kingdom. And by the end of the year, we're going to be accredited by the federal government as an educational association, such that we will, like universities and colleges in the United States, we will qualify for government grants. So we have the same standing as the traditional colleges and universities. And then we're working at the state level of being accredited as a school at the state levels. And so now we will be delivering IT programs built around the CompTIA certifications from the secondary up through the tertiary level. We're involved in public advocacy, where we find it necessary to speak out to support the IT and technology industries. And then we do have various types of philanthropy programs that are built around developing careers and preparing people for careers in IT. One example is to let you know that since the start of the war with Iraq and Afghanistan back in 2000, with all the troops that have cycled through those wars, we have certified and employed over 75,000 soldiers through the CompTIA program. So that's CompTIA, not a company, we're an association. And just to make the statement, probably not telling anybody anything, but technology has come a long way in the last 10 years. A lot of new words being used now that weren't being used 10 years ago. And these are all topics in technology and IT and cybersecurity that are now included in what CompTIA is involved as far as skills development. Probably one of the big wake-up calls was the Target attack, and then of course the attack on the Democratic National Committee here in the United States, the Yahoo attack. And it brought to attention a new kind of threat called the advanced persistent threat, which is not at all like the type of firewall attacking that you see in the movies, with all the beautiful graphics that show people breaking through brick walls. But it's a new type of threat, and even more new threats have come since then, which basically has shown that we need a new way to prepare for and be ready for any type of cybersecurity threats or any threats to IT. And APT was the big warning bell back in 2014. And now what it's really shown is there really truly is a skills gap. Before, people used to say, oh, we don't have enough people who can repair computers, or we don't have enough network administrators, or we don't have enough web developers. It's beyond that now. Having somebody who can work as a network administrator, systems administrator, that's like having a high school degree. And now having cybersecurity skills, that's mandatory. That's not having something nice. You have to have it. And it's something that if you don't have it on your resume and it's not something you can do, you're really not probably of too much value anymore to IT companies or IT support teams for the private industry. The problem is no one really has a solution. And I'm probably going to say some things, make some statements that I think the university representatives might not like. But at the end of the day, if the universities around the world were really developing the students the way it was needed, then why do we have a shortage of skilled workers? That's always the question I want to ask. And this isn't pointed at any one country. It's global. If you're looking at the United States, if our schools are doing their jobs, then help me understand why we need 1 million people. The United States alone, we're looking for 1 million people with different types of IT, infrastructure skills, cybersecurity skills, and software skills. So obviously there isn't a solution, and obviously there is a shortfall. CompTIA, obviously, we're a little arrogant. We think we have some answers to the problem. Some people may say, well, you don't have all the answers, but we have a plan. And at least the fact is that by having a plan, and we know that this plan works because we've been implementing this plan since 1995. And in the last 10 years, we've upped our ante as far as being able to show our plan works. I just mentioned to you about the 75,000 plus soldiers that we trained and certified and employed since 2000. CompTIA has a number of initiatives in 10 different cities where we've taken people who were underemployed, unemployed, and we've turned them literally into IT professionals who are making six-figure salaries. All of them are making well over $60,000, and whereas before they were either unemployed or were making $20,000 a year driving school buses. And so we know our plan works. And in the last 12 months, this plan has been accepted by the United Kingdom, and we've developed a similar initiative with the Ministry of Labor in the United Kingdom, and so we're expanding that program there. So we know the plan works, and we know it also works because companies are requiring CompTIA certifications, and there is a specific reason for that. First of all, the certifications cut to the chase. You can spend a lot of time, taking, again, in deference to universities, no university specific. You can go to school 4 years, but when you come out, if you don't have the skills, there's a problem. And so CompTIA cuts to the chase. And as you see in a typical corporate IT framework here, how the CompTIA certifications are focused. We focus on infrastructure support because it doesn't matter on whether you have a big database and you do a lot of software development, but if there's no infrastructure that you can share this information or access this information or store this information securely, it doesn't matter. So actually CompTIA didn't just say, oh, we're going to stay focused on infrastructure, so ergo we will only make infrastructure certifications. What we learned was, first of all, to have, there wasn't really a need for a software certification because there's so much different types of software, and to try to get into software certification, it's almost impossible to do that. And for the software people in the audience, I think you might agree with me. I thrown that question out to a lot of software professionals, and they all started laughing right away because they just said, "Yeah, it's pretty much impossible to try to do that." And then for data, actually, CompTIA will be making an entry into the data field in the first half of next year, where we will have the CompTIA Data Plus, which will be used for data analysts and corporations. But as you can see here, we're focused on the two main things that make the whole corporate IT framework work, which is infrastructure support and then the cybersecurity that comes with it. What makes certifications important is their measurements. I heard here before my presentation, people were asking questions about, what about experience? How can I use experience? And it was interesting listening to the university representatives talk, because at the end of the day, you can't measure experience. And I personally, I've been working in IT since 1984. And I can speak from personal experience where I had some engineers, who said, "Oh, I've been working as an engineer for 10 years. Oh, great. I'm going to have a whole bunch of support from you." And they were horrible. They didn't even know what they were doing. And then I had other engineers who they'd only been an engineer with the company for 1 year, and they were great. So years of experience isn't really a measurement, and it's not a quantifiable measurement. You can't validate anything with that, because at the end of the day, it has to be some way to measure. And I believe I heard the word. I think at least two of the representatives said that there need to be some sort of assessment. So at the end of the day, if you can't measure and you don't have a way to validate skills, experience isn't really a measurement. Not that it isn't important, but when somebody says, "I worked, X years for something," that doesn't really mean anything. A doctor who actually has a doctorate in medicine versus someone who said, "Well, I've had an experience in medicine," which one would you go to? It's two different things. And so it's extremely important, because an employer doesn't know. If they can't quantify what a skill is, they're not going to feel really comfortable hiring somebody. What we do know is that higher performing companies, when the higher performing company will always attribute success to greater skill. When CompTIA has done survey after survey after survey, talking with companies, and what they've learned is the really good companies that everyone talks about as being leaders, as being well-performing institutions, they always talk about great skill. And then when the lower performing organizations, they always talk about how hard they work. And if you really listen, it doesn't matter what walk of life you have. You talk about sports. The winning team talks about all the skills that the players had. The losing team said, "Well, we worked really hard. We left it all out on the field." Well, no, you didn't. You fell short. So there's a reason for that. What we do know is a CompTIA certified IT professional consistently outperforms. And I'm just going to tell, I saw a few names real quickly in the participants. I won't call you out, but I know some people in the audience have 2, 3, 4, 5 CompTIA certifications. Someone who's taken the time to earn a CompTIA certification, that is a different person. I'm just going to tell you that. Those that have, and especially those that have accomplished it through self-study, which we would never recommend, but if you can do that through self-study, that's an amazing feat. because CompTIA certifications are difficult. And what they do is they're designed to prepare people to work for the current work environment. And what you're always going to find is that a CompTIA certified professional will always outperform those that don't have CompTIA certifications. Just going to be very honest with you. And any person who actually holds a certification, whether it's a product specific certification from one of the manufacturers, those people also are always going to outperform someone who's just taken a class, or someone who even just went to college. Because someone went to college, I went to college, great experience, but there's something when you work toward that extra step and you actually achieve it, it's like the difference of water. You know, when water boils at 212 degrees, so at 211 degrees, it's still only water. But that one extra degree of effort, of energy, turns it into steam. And all of a sudden now it can power a steam engine, it can power a factory. That's the difference of having a certified person versus not. The CompTIA program, it's the only program that actually has a personal development path. There are a lot of IT certifications out there that are product specific, or there are others that are organizations that are focused on one certain skill, one certain segment of the IT industry. But CompTIA is the only program that's a complete development program. It literally can take a person, I'm not even talking about age, it could be a very young person, or it could be a person with no experience in IT, but it can take that person with no experience in IT and literally take them through a development course and turn them into an IT infrastructure support and cybersecurity professional. The CompTIA certifications are focused on skills, not on a product. So it's the skills that when you earn that certification, you develop skills that you can literally walk into a workplace and do the job, because they were the certification content was developed by people who work in the industry. And they're not from just one company, and they're not from just one industry, but they're from multiple types of companies and different industries. So they bring varying perspectives and various vectors of interest in that job. And it complements other programs. So what it does is, if you're in networking, you get the CompTIA Network Plus certification. Then go get your product specific routing certification and other types of networking certifications. It's the CompTIA does is what CompTIA does is it creates that foundation, and from that foundation, then you can expand and be more focused on a product if need be, or focused on a certain type of technology if need be. We know the skills are needed by the industry because, as I said, the subject matter experts come from the IT industry, from all the different other industries that use IT. And then the final statement, which is just something that's a lot of people probably don't understand or are aware of, is nobody does this. There's no other program that does what CompTIA does. A lot of people talk about it. Everybody wants to develop programs, but CompTIA has the program. It's here, it delivers, and it works. Here in Jamaica, we have 3 active training partners. And we have GOMEX. Let me go to the second one. We have UCC. Saw Natalie Rose gave a presentation of the UCC program. So we're working closely with UCC in their IT program. Vector Technology Institute has courses and has a program in which they're utilizing the CompTIA certifications. And then GOMEX Institute of Technology is not really a tertiary school. It's they have a status as a school, and then their faculty consists of people who work in the real world, and these people their focus is that they zero in and they can get you prepared for the certification test, and they will get you certified. That's what they do. And many times they've taken students, and in 12 months, those students have earned not only one, not only two, but 3 certifications, and have gotten good jobs with those. So all 3 of these partners are active training partners here in Jamaica. I do want to make you aware, I think it's only fair to say this, that in the Caribbean, there are other programs that are active, that have different types of training that they offer. First of all, live distance learning. And these are excellent programs. Their instructors all hold the current certifications. They all use the official CompTIA learning materials. They're very flexible, which is why the live distance learning is an excellent option. And they are affordable because they are from countries in the region. So we're not talking about US companies charging US prices, which would be ridiculous, trying to sell that in the Caribbean economy. And then there's another institution that's completely different, but worth mentioning, called Dion Training. And again, what they have is they utilize recorded videos to teach, but the instructors of the videos, they hold the current versions of certifications. They use official CompTIA learning materials. And actually, if you follow their program, they guarantee you will get certified. They have a program that they have. If you follow their program, they guarantee you will get your certification. And they also are an affordable option. And when I say affordable, I'm not talking about a US affordable, I'm talking about Caribbean affordable. So as we talk about the employment part of things, every industry needs IT professionals. I'm making that obvious statement. You can call me Captain Obvious here, but I don't think there's an industry, doesn't matter what it is, and even though it sounds like a low-tech industry, let's say mining, it sounds very low-tech, but IT is as big in mining as it is in anything else. I don't know about Jamaica, but in many other countries, robotics are huge in the mining industry. And then, of course, they need security also for their processing. For their processing plants, they need to make sure their processing plants are secure and they operate efficiently. What I'd like to, as we talk about employment opportunities here in Jamaica, first of all, for the employers who are in the audience here, I want to reach out to you and say, let's talk. I saw that on the agenda, there's some companies that I have already spoken with, and I have referred CompTIA certified people to those companies. And I don't know if they've hired them. I guess I'll have to let them tell you when they talk a little bit later. But I have referred CompTIA certified people to them. And one of the things I want to say is ask for the correct skills. Many times companies post jobs and they list a litany of skills. And actually, more often than not, half those skills aren't even germane to really what the job is, or they're asking for the wrong skills. And so if you're looking for someone who needs to be a network administrator, you can simplify the whole task by saying, requiring CompTIA Network Plus. That cuts to the chase. And if you look at the exam objectives for that certification, then you're going to know what skills that person has. You don't need to list the skills, list the certification. It's much simpler. And it contains then all those skills that you need or that you think you need. And again, look for a CompTIA certified professional, because you will find that person is going to be a superior investment. I'm in my visits to Jamaica, for those who don't know me, I have visited Jamaica frequently over the last 10 years. If I've been to Jamaica once, I think I've been to Jamaica at least 30 times. And, I understand that there's lot of connections between Jamaicans and Canada, the United Kingdom, of course, the United States, and then the Caribbean. And one thing I can tell you is first of all, these people, they need a measurement, and they're looking for certifications. And if you want to work in Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States, you have to have a CompTIA certification. I'm just going to tell you that because that's what they're looking for. And by asking and requiring certifications, they know what skill sets you have. In the Caribbean, employers around the Caribbean, yes, they recognize the university degrees. They do that. They do look for them. But what I can also tell you is if you have a CompTIA certification, that again will at least get you the opportunity for the interview. I can almost guarantee you that. Here in Jamaica, I've spoken with a number of IT service and consulting companies and have, as I said earlier, have referred people to them. Now, over the last 18 months to 2 years, I've seen cloud service companies in Jamaica asking specifically for CompTIA certifications. The government, I know, is looking for CompTIA. Different government agencies are looking for CompTIA certified people, and in fact are sending their people to CompTIA certification classes at different partners. And the different call centers, again, I know that they are asking for various types of CompTIA certifications. And if you have a CompTIA certification, it's going to get you an interview. And then also, again, the private companies, the financial institutions, insurance companies, banks, and even utilities, I know have asked for or have sent people to CompTIA training classes. They understand what the CompTIA certifications are. And again, having those certifications will help people get an interview. So basically, whether you're the employer, it's your next move, please contact me, reach out to me. I'd be happy to work with you in finding CompTIA certified professionals. And if you're an individual and you'd like to know more specifics about this, I would be more than happy to talk to you. Let's talk. I'm on WhatsApp. Send me a note, send me an email, and I would be happy to talk with you more to help you put together a plan. And this is my email address for those that would like to have it. And I am now done. And I thank you very much for your time. If we have time for questions, I'm available.
Thank you, Mr. Wadowitz. It was an informative presentation. We've spun up a discussion down into the chat. So that was a good presentation. As he said, if there are any questions, you are now free to indicate, and we will give you the opportunity to ask your question. No questions. I am seeing a question in the chat. I think a question is coming in the chat. Let us give them another minute or so. Okay, the question is, seeing the economic climate COVID has caused, how can persons get discounts from CompTIA?
Well, if you've followed the CompTIA Caribbean social media, or if you're on my newsletter list for CompTIA Caribbean, you would be aware, and apparently you are not. So that's okay. We won't throw anyone down a well for that. I have an ongoing initiative for the Caribbean, which basically what I do is I offer the lowest prices possible for all official CompTIA learning materials. I'll use the phrase academic price. That's the lowest price possible for the official CompTIA learning materials. And then I also provide discounts on tests. If you purchase a license for one of the official materials, you then qualify for the lowest possible price for the certification test. If you don't purchase official materials, you still did get a discount. It's just not as deep a discount as you would get if you purchased official materials. So I've had that initiative since 2014. So there's no magic, there's nothing special. Just reach out to me, tell me what you want to do, and I'll send you the coupons for the learning materials. And when you're ready for the test, I'll send you the coupons for the test. It's that simple.
Thank you, sounds good. Another question is, would you recommend to do certifications while doing a degree?
Absolutely. And you know, all the university people are going to roll their eyes at me, but you know, let's get your CompTIA A+ now. Get your certification. Go get a job. Go earn some money. If you get the A+, you know, you're qualified. You're qualified to work in any data center anywhere in the world. So go get A+, go get a job, and then keep working on your degree. Don't wait 4 years and then work on your certification. You just lost 4 years of your life. Don't do that. Get your certification, and you'll probably find that studying for the certifications will be a nice supplement to whatever your IT studies are at the university. So absolutely, do parallel studying.
Sounds good. And what is the link for the CompTIA Caribbean? We'd like to look at that.
Here, hold on, and I'll put the link for the LinkedIn group here in the chat. Just a second.
Along with the contact page, if you could just roll that back on screen for
Sure.
I think some persons are trying to get that information down.
I'll tell you what, I'll put my email in the chat also. How's that?
Sounds good.
There you go.
Appreciated. We're seeing that now. So, Mr. Wadowitz, once again, we thank you on behalf of JaCIRT and the ministry here at the Ministry of Science and Technology. We thank you for taking the time out to engage us in this discussion. So it's informative. We see the questions rolling, so it means that you have started to churn the thought process of some persons, and that's what we like to see. And so we appreciate you taking the time out to be here and giving this presentation. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I just want to make one more comment. I want to make everyone here aware, JaCIRT, the ministry, the universities, a great resource that we have at CompTIA is we have our chief technology evangelist. And actually, he's done some private sessions for UCC students on different topics. But he is available if you would like to have conversations with him on various topics. He travels globally. He touches so many things relating to technology, IT, and technology. And he literally travels everywhere, talking with governments, talking with other local associations. So he's another excellent resource if you'd like to have someone as a sounding board. I highly recommend that you reach out to me, and I'd be happy to facilitate conversations with him, or if you'd like to have other presentations with him to talk on different topics, such as what you're talking today. Because this gentleman could bring an excellent global view to such conversations. So I just want to make that offer out to everybody in the audience.
Thank you, Leonard. We appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have come to the end of this segment of our symposium. Now we will be taking an hour's break for lunch, and then we return promptly at 1 o'clock to continue the symposium. So you can go get yourselves refreshed, and we will continue at 1. We thank you for taking the time out to be with us, and we anticipate your eager joining of the second segment of our symposium, which starts promptly at 1 p.m. later on today. So thank you. It's now time for the lunch break. It's an hour, and we will see you later. Sorry about that, guys. So again, let me just say thank you for staying with us, and I do hope you had an opportunity to refresh yourselves and be ready to commence this, our second portion of our symposium. Now, our next speaker that we have to deliver to us is Mr. Dane Daly. And Dane is from Fortinet, and he is a system engineer locally to us, as he is here in Jamaica, and he will be essentially discussing certification tracks within Fortinet. So, Mr. Dane Daly, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, guys. Again, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you guys. Start off by, let's see if I can share. Screen. Awesome. Right, thanks again, guys. My name is Dane Daly. I am from Fortinet Incorporated. We are a cybersecurity solution company, a full end-to-end cybersecurity solution company. We've been making pretty much a lot of waves in the region, and especially in Jamaica, where we're helping a lot of companies improve their cybersecurity posture. I'd first like to introduce you to the team here locally. There's Ronald Donaldson, which is our major account manager, right? And Ray Cole, territory sales manager, who are my sales counterparts, and myself, who is director here. All of us are directly in Jamaica to support you. By extension, we have access to the global resources from the Caribbean, from and the rest of the world, and by extension, they are available to you through us. Why do we need cybersecurity? Why is there an issue with cybersecurity? It's a global thing. We're here looking at local as well as international issues that are happening when it comes to cybersecurity. And these are just some local and overseas clippings that I found. And as time goes by, you're going to see a lot more. right? It's not going to stop there. We have become a huge hotspot based on the fact that, you know, Jamaica has been put in the Forbes magazine and so forth, that we are one of the best places to invest, right? So we're a cash cow. There are a lot of stuff happening here that are causing persons of malicious intent who cannot travel, possibly, to be able to, from a remote location, hack and dispose of security, you know, security posture that you may have and access to your information. Here we're looking at some of the attacks and threats, and where we're trying to focus on is the lack of security professionals. But all of you're seeing right now basically affects everything.
Hi, Dave. I'm not seeing your presentation.
You're not seeing it?
No.
1 sec. There. Are you seeing it now?
Yes, I am.
So let me just quickly reintroduce the team.
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Great. Again. So again, we're introducing myself, Ronald Donaldson, and Ray Cole, and then by extension, as mentioned before, the rest of the world and Caribbean is at your disposal when it comes to your cybersecurity needs. I was mentioning before that we are a treasure trove of information, a treasure trove of money, because we seem to have become the one of the best places to invest in, as according to Forbes, and you know, around the world. So these persons that have malicious intent want to get a piece of the pie, so to speak, as well. Here we're looking at some of the major threats that are happening, things that may cause us to have security, information security issues, right? And the main thing that we're looking at here is lack of trained cybersecurity professionals, right? So as we improve our digital transformation, as we improve and make more efficient using you know, digitization, improving how we do things and make it more efficient, we have also opened up a lot of other mishaps that could happen, both remotely and locally. We're looking at, you know, activism, cloud security, mobile security, and we just simply don't have the resources to be able to push out as quickly as possible the professionals we need. As mentioned before, we have a lot of brain drain, and the resources, the knowledge, the expertise are simply not staying here for one reason or another. Then, you know, we give rise to other various areas of cybercrime. These are some of the things that we need to be looking at when it comes to our security frameworks that we're putting into play, like software piracy, hacking unauthorized access, identity theft, drug trafficking, cyber stalking, and various forms of cyber extortion. The very few cases I've seen convictions for over time have fallen into one or more of these categories, right, that have happened locally. And it's not very recent, you know, it's been over the years. Fortinet Security Fabric is basically our own framework. We're the only security company that has a full-fledged security framework. And by extension, we understand that, you know, there are various aspects of your security systems and information systems that need different levels and layers of security, right? So it has to be broad. And by broad, we're able to see, gain access to, and have and protect different aspects of your infrastructure. Then it has to be integrated. All information needs to be able to share. We actually have to be able to integrate with existing systems, right? To be able to allow a hybrid integration of your environment, because, you know, as much as you know, having all the parts in the same place is, you know, more desirable, we understand that you may not be able to fully just tear, rip, and replace everything. So we will be able to assist you in probably creating roadmaps of how you can slowly improve, and over time acquire the necessary security system we have. And of course, it has to be automated, because security threats are basically taking precedence within milliseconds. You as human beings cannot respond to security incidents within milliseconds. Right? It's just, you know, very important for us, as much as how complex and advanced our brains are, our simple response time is just not as good. It takes us time to, one, identify which usually it has to be from another human being. So their delay plus their delay in telling us plus our delay finding and investigating that issue is another thing as well. And the limited resources, and I say limited, maybe individual, very few individuals per square foot per se of the amount of persons that are within the organization, just too large, and we have to go through a lot of hoops just to get and access information. Here we're looking at what a couple of our products and solutions, and by extension, we have to be able to certify persons in all of these products and solutions. What you're looking at here is, from a cloud services, individual devices, virtual systems. These are, this is not something that is far-fetched. It shouldn't be looking that confusing, but basically most person systems may have a portion, if not all, of these things in place right now. Remote users is a big thing, right? So mobile users, remote offices, switches and APs, everyone should at least have a firewall. Most persons have video systems, voice systems, systems that we expose to the internet, so there must be some form of DMZ, right? The SOC and NOC analysis center, right? Operation center here, where most of the security information usually sent for logging, monitoring, and reporting. We all are using online office or cloud-based services, or using cloud infrastructures to augment or replace some of our data centers and some of the stuff that we have here. Each of these systems, each of these locations need to be mitigated and protected in one way. And therefore, we have developed our own set of certifications and training for each section. What is great about it, there are some that is available to the public, right? They're not per se exam-based, so NSCs 1 and 2 allow you to, one, gain access and knowledge about what's going on from a cybersecurity standpoint, educate on the tools, and NSC 2 are educated on different tools that mitigate against the issues that we're seeing that we have highlighted in NSC 1. But NSC 3 is multiple our partners and marketing and training, so purchase and sales, right? So they know how to present our products to our customers. Then where we start looking into the real technical aspect and real professional and hands-on and training and so forth is from NSC 4 all the way up to NSC 8. The NSC 4 is based on our FortiGate, which is our premier next generation firewall security system, right? So we have a lot of customers like Jamaica, growing. And then by extension, we have these other certifications that do not require or does not need a previous certification. So there, if you are a part of the SOC team, you probably mostly focusing on analysis section, which you may not even touch before you get your talk. So you just need to get certified, get trained in the areas of expertise that you're doing, right? Before NSC 1, introducing you to the threat landscape, of course, the cybersecurity evolution to mitigate against those threat landscapes. And NSC 3 is where we're discussing now the different products and solutions that help you to mitigate against the different threats that were highlighted. And here we're looking at the Network Security Professional NSC 4. We have the courses for 2 courses and 1 exam for the Fortinet security, Fortinet FortiGate firewall, sorry. Then in the Network Security Analyst section, we're looking at the analysis, management, seeing endpoint protection and EDR, right? So you're managing and monitoring the network systems and endpoints. Then we're looking at some specializations, right? The ADC, which is our load balancer authenticator, is basically for your 2-factor authentication mechanism. We have neo security both in the cloud, which is another huge security threat. Network access controls, for the Wi-Fi, which is our FortiGate with built-in APIs built into them. Web application security that helps protect web pages, web systems, web applications, and also meet the criteria for OWASP that was mentioned earlier before. We have secure voice systems, IPPDX voice systems that basically integrate back with the firewall and with the rest of the network. Then we have the architect, the high-level, high-performance stuff that you have here. So we have advanced threat protection. Basically, we're looking at advanced threats like sandboxing, deception mechanism is basically quite advanced. Enterprise firewalling is more advanced of dynamic routing and so forth. Secure access with your switches and APs and other secure access network solutions. Public cloud security, right? So if you have any form of AWS, if you have any SaaS services, you're probably looking here to protect how and who can access these cloud-based services. So who can access the AWS system? What are they doing? How are they doing it? Or if you have someone that is using a SaaS cloud solution, then we're looking at what they're doing while they're connected, because a lot of the time these services are encrypted. You know they're accessing it or have access to it. And the fact is it's on the public domain, so you don't have a firewall or another system protecting that network or protecting that environment. You need to be able to know what's going on there. We have SD1, right? Software-defined networking, and by extension, Fortinet being a security company, we have secure SD1. So we give you all the bells and whistles of SD1 built into our firewall at no additional cost. But when on top of that, we make sure that it's secure by protecting all the data that is going to the network, providing the CIA availability on for your network connections. Right? We have the SOAR and OT security. And SOAR is basically security orchestration. We're looking at being able to do a structured incident response and mechanism where everything is structured and there are playbooks for different types of security threats and security incident responses. Right, so usually that is for a person with a larger team or a SOC team or a dedicated security team. Helps you to do post-mortem, right? After you have done everything that's going to be done to mitigate and recover, you want to do some analysis of what should happen in the future, right? How you should mitigate against a security incident, what you should put in place to reduce the threat and reduce the risk of it happening again, and that's what helps. So the OT environments, OT security, we have now started to modernize our lot of OT environments. Right? They last long, they last years, 10, 20, 30 years, 50 years. But at some point they begin to feel at some point they need to be modernized to allow you to get more information about what's going on with the systems and not have a reactive approach. And the big boy for us is the NC8, which is a written and practical examination. Right? So you pass all the requirement here that you do written first and pass it. You either fly up or now we are ready to do the online version of the lab. But prior to COVID, we fly up to one of our naval data centers and immerse yourself into our lab environment. And it's huge, it's great, it's humongous. It's downright intimidating. Anyone who has done the high level certification would probably agree that it's a great experience. Now, here is how we deploy our trains. So we have various ways of deploying the trains, and it's done mostly through our NSM training institutes. It can also be either self-paced through our training institute. It can also be instructor-led online or instructor-led in person. But of course, we have a lot less of that now. And of course, you have the different categories of certification and that you can click on to select these are the rules, right? You also notice some CPD hours. Now, for persons that have or require CPDs for their advanced certifications, especially the ISC squared, which hosts the CISSP. Once you do our trainings and our certifications, we can gain hours. So here's a quick example of how many hours of CPD points you can get from just the EDR, right? So just by doing the course, you can earn CPD hours, and it's quite a bit of hours over 3 years for a lot of these courses. So this helps a lot. Just by doing training, just by doing some of our workshops. So that is always a plus. Right. So we have a direct partnership with ISC Squared. That once you've done the course, you've shown you've done the course and how many hours it took, both for the course itself and the labs, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to earn CPD points. Right. So we have different types of training. You have a public training where basically it's online, just schedule some dates, and you can get access to those dates once you purchase training, and you just join that class, or you can do instructor-led personalized training, right? So you purchase yourself for your own company, and you're trained there, or you can get access to the lab environments and online self-paced training as we do, right? Here are the three different types of training. Of course, we do have partners I mentioned before that offer locally some of our trainings, right? So you definitely will be your go-to for the online, the instructor-led in-person or online training as well. But I'm sure they're doing a lot more virtual options. So, any questions so far? Right. We at Fortinet are really huge on information sharing and public awareness, right? So here we're looking at some of the publicly available trainings that we have. Publicly available trainings and publicly available information that we have free to you to access and learn and all subsidize and augment a lot of the trainings that we have available. So we have a free cybersecurity awareness training program, which we're very proud of, and we have been using it in conjunction with our security solution, right? So not only because we know the weakest link in security infrastructure is a human being, right? The knowledge, the training, and the awareness of what to click, what not to click, making sure persons are very much indeed aware of what's going on in their environment and what to look out for. So we actually have a free cybersecurity awareness training, which is actually posted on our portal, so you can gain access to it, sign up your company, and start producing distributing training so persons can take really good advantage of it. It also gives the ability to see who has started the training, who has finished the training. You can deploy it as necessary. It can be white label, so you can actually put your company's logo on it as well. We have also shown that the entire Dominican Republic government actually has started using our training. We partner with them, have an MOU with them, and we have used our cybersecurity awareness training program to train all of your government agencies and entities, right? We have the DOCS, Documentation Center. This basically is all of the admin guides for every single solution that we have on and all of our versions and firmwares as well. So it's a good place to start when you should have walking through any problems. We have Fortinet videos, right? So 40 videos. We're looking at video information on how to deploy, how to do a lot of the some basic stuff as well. Also to show you what our systems are about. Right, so that's pretty cool as well. Our demo sites, right? So you can get a read-only access to almost all of our solutions that are there as well. You can look at the entire brochure, right? So you can see the cost. So here is a link that you can share as well to the NSC brochure, certification brochure. Now, another question is, who should get certified for Fortinet? Once you have a Fortinet device in your environment, it's highly recommended that you get certified. Because, we believe that there should be some self-reliance on the customer to be able to do a lot of the stuff on themselves. There is a delay when you have to call, reach out to someone about some things that could be critical to your environment. But of course, we definitely encourage you, once it is beyond a certain tier of your knowledge and expertise, do get necessary help and expertise to come in. But your day-to-day maintenance should be done by a customer or by some other form of certified trained professional. We do have some services as well that we can take advantage of, but we rely heavily on our partners. Our customers heavily rely on our partners for a lot of the product and implementation. We also have, I mentioned before, the different services, right? We have incident response services as well. We have partners that are offering managed services, right, using our solutions as great as well, and they are all certified. So in order to, do stuff like that, to maintain stuff for yourself, get training, get the certification. Even if you don't do the certification and not even applying the knowledge, is even more important, right? And then as you immerse yourself into the environment, immerse yourself in the real life study, immerse yourself in the real life deployment of these solutions to troubleshooting, you'll be a lot more confident and more likely to be a lot more successful in your certifications. Any questions so far?
No questions as yet.
Question or concerns? Right, so I quickly wanted to go through some of the pages that we have. We're looking at the doc center, right? And on most persons will be familiar with our 40 gigs, right? So you have access to up to the latest version of those Fortinet systems. Here is our demo center, right? So you can basically visualize, click in and sign up, you get a link to, and the link I'm using the password to your to the demo site, right? You can go in and look around. We do have the MC brochure. Right, so this here is basically your guideline, the guide to the different MC certification based on what you have in the environment. You may have to do one or multiple versions, right? Or video site, right? So here, the floor of information is zero trust, another huge thing, right? So zero trust basically is making sure that you're able to authenticate and authorize not only individuals, but the systems that are allowed to come onto your network, and only allowing them to access what they need to do for based on their role, right? That's basically what zero trust is, and you have multiple solutions that allow you to do that. Now, playlist, you can sort it by products. So we have a FortiGate, client manager, reporter, and we have a video recording solution and camera as well. Myself, usually do some work as well, whether individually for a public workshop on or various solutions. So I've had some of you guys have taken advantage of that, and I've seen and touch and feel what really is happening with our FortiGate and our solutions. So that has always been a pleasure doing that with you guys. Right here is the Cybersecurity Administration Program. Basically, you access it by a link and you enroll. This one, and you basically enroll your organization to start getting training required. Not many persons have that or have it structured, right? So this has been a really popular with individuals as well, individual organizations as well as individuals who have companies that they want to get some awareness training running. This can be deployed where at whatever time of the year, how many times a year you want. Myself and the rest of our team have to do that at least once per quarter. As every quarter, we have to do some form of training to reiterate and remind us. We also do phishing attempts, so we have to have solutions that help with the phishing. We're trying to fish or test the phishing of the organization. That's pretty cool as well. So I also have here. Any questions so far? Because I'm going to questions or concerns.
Okay, so I have a question here. I hope that's what you said. It was a bit muffled.
Yes.
Yeah. So the question is, how does Fortinet certifications compare to CompTIA or a Cisco in terms of cost, tier, and ranking?
Sorry, repeat the question.
All right, it says, how does Fortinet certifications compare to CompTIA in terms, or even Cisco in terms of cost, tier, and ranking?
Oh, good question. Good question. All right. So in comparison to CompTIA is very vendor agnostic. So it's a good foundation. I've done a couple myself. And for that matter, I would recommend anyone starting at the foundation, because we're not going to teach you what the IP address is. We assume that you must have some basic knowledge of the OSI model and TCP IP stack. What we do, we are, Cisco and other guys are above that stack, and they are vendor specific, right? So myself, Fortinet is vendor specific, Cisco is vendor specific. So in the event that you do have these solutions inside your environment, whatever solution you have in your environment, that's what you should be certified for. And based on Cisco was more popular with networking, right? Or it's one of the more popular with networking, but not so much, in my opinion, based on Gartner, based on other industry, non-specific charts, basically telling that, hey, security is where it's at, and we file for very high, like especially with our firewalls in the Gartner quadrant when it comes to security. So the other thing, there are a lot of other top tier vendors when it comes to security, but it's valid, it's worldwide. Once you get a Fortinet certification, you're able to implement and mitigate against anything within that environment using a Fortinet firewall, using a Fortinet, whatever Fortinet solution you have in the environment. So it is based on your requirements. So you're a great solution, and in the event that when you acquire a solution, it is recommended that you also do necessary training and certification, because you're going to get if you're seeking a job that has Fortinet in the environment, the Cisco certification might not help. But it won't help, right? You need to get the Fortinet certification. And if you have that on your resume, you have it on your job, there's a lot more places in the world that are getting a lot more traction when it comes to Fortinet. It will be a great asset to have from a security standpoint. Can I answer your question?
Yes. But also costing. What is the comparison we're costing to sit these certifications in comparison to the other certifications that are there?
Well, truth be told, security certification, I've done a couple, and they are, most of the time, they're a lot more costly, and between $200 to $600. I think the CISSP is $600, and then there are ones that are higher than our sweet spot basically is between $200 and $400 region for the actual certification itself. Of course, for the trainings, we offer the trainings that you can get various levels of discounts for the trainings as well, right? To our partners, because we don't sell directly here. So a couple of partners you can get through. Of course, you have the other partners that offer it themselves, as mentioned before. Some of the institutions here actually partner with us and offer the courses. So you basically pay for the courses inside of your degrees, right? So you have a lot of avenues to get the best bang for your buck for these certifications and training.
And as it relates to those who want to do self-taught learning for the Fortinet certifications, is it one recommended, and how easy it is to absorb the material if you're doing self-taught, to go sit the certifications, of course?
Well, I'm a huge advocate of self-training, right? I've done most of my certifications on my own. I'm trying to think of one that I did full-fledged training for. But not everyone, I would say, is as disciplined or has the time to be able to do that. So definitely having a mentor, someone in front of you that can ask questions and guide you along those lines would be a great thing. And of course, as mentioned before, we have ton of publicly available information to supplement a lot of the stuff that you're learning, right? Which we are showing here on the screen, the admin guide and so forth. So you're not alone. We do the workshop as well. So we do a lot of training workshops and hands-on labs. So again, you can touch and feel what you're learning. A part of our training as well includes labs. So we already show how important physical and virtual labs are. Right? Physical, so you can see and touch and feel devices. Virtual because it's a lot easier to deploy to multiple persons. Right? You might be limited in hardware. With VMs, you can copy them and send them over as necessary. Right? So, you know, I would say take full advantage of everything that's there. And, you know, I would say my experience and my learning curve was pretty short by utilizing both the public, the workshops, and the training that I had access to get stuff done. And what's key as security professionals, we don't necessarily all the time get the opportunity to spend 40 hours or a month just training. We need to be hitting the road running. So having something without having access to all this information, having access to all the resources would be important, and getting us up and running and, you know, mitigating and protecting our environments in the shortest space of time is key. And having a solution and a product that has a very short learning curve based on what you're trying to do would be advantageous in my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, right? Don't worry, I can share the links via the moderator for all of the public resources. We don't have access to them already. As mentioned before, the training site has some free training, or you can go to our security awareness training program to gain access to the training program. NSCs 1 and 2 is up for grabs for you. We did have some, since last year, we had some essentials training, some basic training for a lot of our products, so that's pretty cool as well. You can take advantage of that, but to get the full-fledged training and access to all the resources and labs, you know, you can purchase your training.
Yes, the links to those resources would be greatly appreciated. Judging by the lack of questions, I assume everybody is duly satisfied with the presentation given. Let me thank you, Mr. Daly, for taking the time out to deliver this presentation to us. It's always good to have additional resources. As was stated, the Fortinet technology is one of the more popular ones out there in terms of security. So these training opportunities would go a far way for the various organizations. So on behalf of the Jamaica Cyber Incident Response Team, JaCIRT, and the Ministry of Science, Energy, and Technology, I thank you and the team at Fortinet for availing yourselves to deliver this presentation to us.
Thank you very much. It was our pleasure. Thanks again. I'll be on with the rest of our colleagues looking on and learning as well. Thanks again, guys. Enjoy your city and enjoy the rest of your symposium.
Thank you. So, as we proceed into the rest of our symposium, we will, for those who would have seen the agenda for the day, we are making a bit of adjustment as we will be taking the Amber Group at this point in time. And our presenter from the Amber Group is Mr. Dushyant Savadi, or Savadia, and he is the founder and CEO of Amber Group Limited. And just a quick introduction to him, he is described as the Uber of mathematics by the Sunday Tribune. JaCIRT is an internationally acclaimed global entrepreneur, eminent humanitarian, public speaker, and a technology disruptor who was recently accepted into Forbes Technology Council and is driven by a vision to give back. From the ideation of the products, he quickly transforms them into successful global ventures. His passion for constant innovation has ensured that his various enterprises are always placed on the forefront of cutting-edge technologies. ABBA Group Limited is a global technology company founded on core humanitarian values in 2015. Based in Jamaica, with operations in 30 countries, including India, Africa, and the Caribbean, the Americas, and Canada. Let us welcome Dushyant Savadai, or Savadia, yes.
Savadia.
Savadia, thank you.
Hi, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Dushyant Savadia. I am the founder and CEO of the ABBA Group. And yeah, very good afternoon to everybody. And today's topic that I've been invited to speak on is career opportunities in Jamaica with cybersecurity and so on. First of all, today is, or this month is the Cybersecurity Month, an important month that gives us sort of a reminder that what has changed in this world in the last 2 years, right? A very important reminder why cybersecurity has become so much more relevant than ever before on the history of this planet. Of course, we've been hearing about cyber attacks and hackings and all of those things for years and years, but only happening to very, very large corporates where there is billions of dollars involved. But the world has significantly changed. I think the pandemic, if nothing else, has also pushed a lot of interest in people who are sitting at home and wanting to explore their ability to hack and have become good hackers. And also in the last 2 years, we've also witnessed some of the most sophisticated hackings. We've also witnessed some of the most sophisticated tools that are available on the web for you to download, paying some decent amount of money. But there are now so many tools available globally for persons to download in the black market, aftermarket, whatever we call it, to actually look at hacking in various methods and manners that our world has not seen before. So I think where we stand as a country, as Jamaica also, and the whole region for that matter, we as a country is a wake-up call to everybody. The amount of hacking that you have seen in the last 1 year is phenomenal. I mean, you can list out all the names of the biggest companies, whether they are in social media, whether they are in airline company, whether they are in software development, or they are in any industry from hospitals to every single industry has been impacted, affected, and have substantially suffered the ill-intended persons who want to attack these systems in one way or another. And the sophistication, ladies and gentlemen on this forum, the sophistication of cyber attack has also evolved so much. Now, of course, from our side, we can do what we can do best. We make sure the software is built correctly and you've put things in place. You've got a firewall, you've got all the encryptions in place. But even after all of this, you can imagine now, companies like the large social media networks, how many billions of dollars they would be spending on cybersecurity itself, and yet they get hacked. Yet 36 million, 50 million records exposed of each of these companies in the last 2 years. How is this happening, and what is the end game, and how do we deal with this in Jamaica? And where do you think the opportunities lie for the Jamaica also to become the cybersecurity hub for the Caribbean as well, and for that matter, even evolve beyond this and provide some sophistication on the defense side of cybersecurity, then being pretty much an after reacting business, for example. Now, to me, cybersecurity is divided into kind of 6 broad areas where I think employment becomes very relevant. And also the opportunities around these are extremely relevant as well. So I would actually say 7, not even 6. One is your penetration. As a business, are we doing a cybersecurity penetration on our applications every week? Are we doing a soft penetration every week? And are we doing a manual full-blown penetration once a month? So that's your first line of defense. Now, cybersecurity penetration testings are very common across the world. Penetration testings allow us to actually combine multiple zero vulnerabilities also and see if that opens up a new vulnerability. Also, you would know these days that even if your system has 0 vulnerabilities and 3 zero vulnerabilities can combine to become a vulnerability also, that opens a door into the backend of the software. So that's the first part. How often are we penetrating? Now, the question is, do we have any pen testers or cybersecurity, enough pen testers in Jamaica? The answer is no, we don't have plenty. And that also means that opens up a massive opportunity for Jamaicans to look at developing this whole infrastructure and developing the whole what do you call it, the learning of pen testings in Jamaica. That is very relevant. Second part is in terms of employments around the cybersecurity opportunities. Second would be application security monitoring. Now, what does that mean? If you look at how we react to cybersecurity, of course we do our tests and stuff like that, but only after the fact breach has happened, we then go and look in what has happened, and then we go fix the bugs, and we fix what we knew as 0 vulnerability through some sophisticated tools has been hacked. So it has opened up a new vulnerability that didn't exist, because we always say cyber moving target. It is moving every day, every hour. Every piece of code that gets deployed may open another new vulnerability that you're not aware of right now. So how do you then stop the hack? How do you prevent your business or your application from such an attack? And that is why the application security monitoring has now become the new buzzword globally. With Amber itself, about 3 months ago, we acquired a US-based company called Night Vision, which has 18 years of cybersecurity experience as a business, have done work for CIA to a lot of large businesses in US itself. And we went ahead and acquired that company only because it would take us a lot of time to build this expertise in-house to provide third-party services. Now, while we can do pen tests and security architecture assessments and all of those things, that is not enough anymore. So what we've now realized and built for ourselves, for our own internal product, we have 10 business lines. And on top of it, we do a lot of software development for a lot of third-party companies across the world. Now, when we do third-party software development, we develop it for governments, we develop it for companies, large banks. We do not manage the security of that application. It is up to the client who manages their own security the way they feel fit. And we did not provide third-party services before, and hence my interest became to acquire a large company with all this expertise. Now that has allowed us to set up our own 24/7 cyber security threat intelligence command center. Now imagine, like, you are aware of security companies, whether they are providing you security for your house or your vehicles, all of them have a 24-hour command center, because what that does, if there is a erratic behavior or some alert that comes in, somebody is watching it in real time and somebody is managing the crisis in real time and not after the fact. So application security monitoring now has become the largest piece of defense for businesses and governments to watch their own cyberspace and attacks that are coming through. So application security monitoring is quite large. With Amber now, we've set up a full-blown 24/7 command center, whereby if any servers, any applications see any kind of an unusual pattern of utilization, unusual pattern of access, unusual pattern of flags that come through in terms of the IP and so on, it immediately sets off an alert to the command center portal, and that portal is observed by a dozen cyber security defense officers, intelligence officers in real time, and they're proactively managing the threat by blocking that IP, trying to block that particular port server or whatever needs to be blocked so that these persons don't get an access. But at the same time, it is not just about continuously going to block, but we also have to learn. Now, that is why what we've also adapted now is brought in a whole honeypot technology, which is not utilized by the Caribbean at all. It is utilized by the first world countries except us. So we've now gone ahead and built a whole honeypot system that opens up crawlers or bots or crawlers or attackers to assume that this is a real banking site or a real site which has confidential data, and then they start attacking that site, and we start understanding and learning what are the patterns, what are the tools, and what are the methods, and what is the strike rate, where do they come from, how do they attack, what loophole are they trying to exploit, or what code level or infrastructure level or application level is being hit first to attack the system. So we now have built plenty of honeypots which attract all of these hackers to come and hack it. And as they hack, we gather all the intelligence in the background and then convert all that intelligence to strengthen and harden our systems also. It's a lot of learning. I think cybersecurity, and that's why I'm saying the application security monitoring alone have so many job opportunities. It could become a easy 10,000-15,000 employee BPO or a cybersecurity BPO for that matter, providing application monitoring services to businesses globally, where, well, if I had to recruit very expensive resources abroad, then it will cost us 3 times more money. Whereas in Jamaica, one of our advantages is we are near shore to all the large markets. Our economy is excellent in terms of providing great cost services out of Jamaica, just like what India does, what Lithuania does, what Poland does, what many of these countries, Eastern European countries and Southeast Asia, they provide a lot of great services without breaking the bank. And Jamaica has the same potential. So application security monitoring is another massive area of opportunity for employment growth. We're busy building our own, well, we built it now, but we are continuously expanding, and you don't need to be a real tech geek or a real software developer expert to be a cybersecurity intelligence monitoring officer. It just needs about 3-4 months of training to understand various kind of hits, various kind of risks, and how to manage each of these alerts on the system, and what are the steps you need to take in real time to stop the threats that are coming in at that point of time. So application security monitoring is another. Then security architecture. The whole world actually short of cybersecurity architects. The whole world is short. It's another huge demand globally to get excellent architects who can provide a good architecture. Now, Yes, we can build a great software with great architecture, but that doesn't mean you're safe. Like I said, cyber security is always a non-stop moving goal. You cannot stop it. And it's only a matter of time. If I can give you an example, if you take a house, right? You've got your house, right? You have a metal gate outside. You may have fences with electric wires on it. And then you go inside, you've got a big door with bolt locks. Then you go inside, your bedroom has another lock and key. But then you hide all your main belongings in another safe tucked away somewhere inside your wardrobe with another key. Now, cybersecurity is almost becoming like, you have to think about this little vault you need to protect. What is the most sensitive item that you want to protect? You hide it as far as possible and you build 4 or 5 defenses, because that means that if somebody gets through the metal gate and the electric wires, they still have to open the gate or your door. If they did manage to open the door, which is quite possible these days, they then have to deal with your bedroom door. And once they've dealt with the bedroom door also, then they have to spend some time opening this metal safe or blast it or do whatever they have to open that safe to collect the content. But the whole idea is that while you're doing all of this, it gives businesses plenty of time to notice the attack, notice that the outdoor fence has been breached, the door has been breached, the bedroom door has been breached, and somebody is now attacking the wall. So as much as possible, we just have to build as many lines of defenses. Now I can tell you my earlier imagination, all the published reports around the world talk about encryption. That if your system is well encrypted, you don't have to worry. Now they can decrypt and open up even encrypted environments by using bots, can run billions of combinations in real time and find the way in. It's incredible how much the cybersecurity space has changed in the last 2 years and how it is one of the high-tech growing market globally now. Cyber threat is real, and it is more real because there are just so many ammunitions for attack which are now available, and it's crazy, but it is what it is. We just have to strengthen all our defenses as much as we can. But even if we keep watching it, there's one more layer on top, which we say eye on the ball. So we're also monitoring now in real time. That is the only good defense you have, because if there is one irregular activity in the access, then you should know instantly, and then your systems are defending it, plus people who are receiving these alerts in real time at our command center also have the ability to navigate and stop that whole incident taking place. So even the security architecture then becomes very important. How can we write codes which are secure from the code level itself? Now, in most cases, we build a very nice product and then look at what we need to do to secure it. But if at code level itself, there are gaps and there are irregularities, it's very hard to actually define those at code level and fix them later. So it is very important that we also create a team of security architects who would define at a code level itself that you design, you do security by design, not security by adaptation as you go along. It has to be security by design. How do we design the software from the scratch in such a way that it allows you to then focus on building solid codes, which are by nature would have its own defenses, but also add more layers on top of it. And then you have all sorts of ransomware preventions, you have breach impact preventions. There are just so many areas of expertise that are available as opportunities in the cyberspace of employment. So I think it's all about putting together a good team. It's all about putting together the right methods, right defenses, and then keeping an eye on the systems at all times. That I believe is the only way to protect what we built because let's be real, it's only going to get worse. If you look at, like I said before, in the last 1 year, you turn around whatever apps that you're using, most of the apps you're using, most of them have got hacked. Banks have got hacked. Social media companies have got hacked. Why do you think all these large companies are releasing an update patch almost every week now? Because somebody somewhere have already identified a way to break it, or break that, whether it is iOS, whether it is Android, whether it is Microsoft, whether it is Apple, all of them are consistently releasing security patches. Now, when you say it's a patch, it means that there was something that has not taken into full consideration and now needs to be put together also. So your patch releases, your continuous evolvement of the software, and at the same time ensuring that we properly put things in place going forward is as critical as it was ever before. Putting all the penetration testings and security assessments of your servers, of your applications, and putting together detective controls, and you put up eyes on glass. It's like somebody looking at, and that is what we did now with this new acquisition that we did. It was all about putting more eyes on the glass. Glass is your computer. How do we kind of prevent things before it happens, or rather stay in the state where things happen, we get notified, and then we fix it. But I think the world needs to be stepping up 500 steps. It's not baby steps anymore. It's not about let's do this next week, let's do this next year, or we'll add more budget. If you look at the amount of companies adding money into their cybersecurity budget, it is phenomenal. 25% of companies' software development budget is going into into just doing this alone. It's a lot that is happening in our space, and I believe together, and it is not a one-man fight, folks. It is our fight, Jamaica's fight against cybercrime. It's not Amber. It's not another company which is in the same service. It's not about another individual who knows software very well and who can identify hack. It's a community that we have to build together to fight against this largest threat that exists now in the world is cyber threat. We all have to come together as entrepreneurs, as individuals, as professionals, and figure out how are we going to help Jamaica? How are we going to help our SMEs who may not have this level of access of money, may not have this level of budget, but still would need protection, because together we are a lot stronger as an economy. And if SMEs keep falling off the grid, it will impact every single business in Jamaica and individuals also, because we lose more employments through that route, and then we go into a mode which we don't want to be in. So my humble suggestion in this community here interested in cybersecurity, it's time to come together. It's time to build our own cybersecurity defense structure for Jamaica, where every small, medium, large business can participate. Everybody have a voice, everybody come together. If anybody, God forbid, got hacked, we need to all work together as a united front, not as competitors, not with different expressions, but one expression. It is Jamaica, it is our land, it is our business, it is our community. And how do we combine all of us together to work together for the upliftment of our businesses by protecting them against this real cyber security threat that we are not fully prepared with still. So as Amber, we are committed to Jamaica. As Amber, we are committed to all the businesses. We are here. Any assistance we can provide you, we will. And any assistance we can build together for others, I am more than available to participate, to think big, think large, and become and bring this holistic understanding of cybersecurity and its impact, and not just talking in environments like this. And look, getting up on talk shows and giving speeches is great. Who is going to deliver? We have to deliver. We have to come together and deliver. That is my few cents on this forum. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I am delighted to be here, and thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to have been able to speak to you all, and look forward to closer relationship of the cybersecurity community to come together and think big for Jamaica. Thank you.
Hi, Dishant. So we appreciate your presentation given today. I have a question for you though. How many cybersecurity jobs does the Amber Group provide in Jamaica with their acquisition?
At this point of time, we are, mind you, this acquisition is, let me turn on my video, sorry. Mind you, this acquisition is brand new, but at this point of time, we're looking at least 20 cybersecurity command center officers to actually assist us with managing the intelligence command center unit that we've now built out. But again, like I said, it's all growth and demand based. I am certain in times to come, we will become the largest provider of cybersecurity services in Jamaica. And for that, I need all your help, everybody's help.
Thank you. I see my co-moderator raising his hand. So Colonel Sterling, you can come in.
Hi, good afternoon, Dishant, and thank you again for partnering with us for this symposium. I have one question that's two parts. First of all, congratulations on the acquisition of Night Vision. The question regarding Night Vision, do they have a live threat map that is real time? And the second part of the question is, when you look at the cybersecurity landscape, do you believe that companies really have a chance for significant or reasonable return on investment if they change their IT setup to include a viable pathway for cybersecurity professionals?
Thank you, Mr. Sterling. So to answer your first question, absolutely. I think what is missing is a proper cybersecurity incident reporting mechanism, which we've now built. I'm very proud to say also that in conjunction with the government of Trinidad, we're actually busy building out a whole cybersecurity threat command module for CARICOM, not just for Jamaica, where all the partner CARICOM countries can report incidents, report attack methods, and that will create the map of all the various countries under hits of what kind, what methods, and what are the, and we're also building a large knowledge base, which will be available free of cost to all the software companies or businesses across the CARICOM to allow them to actually understand what is it that you need to do, what are the new levels of attack, what are the new kinds of attack, and based on that attack patterns, you will be always be guided by the knowledge base. It's not just about us telling you what are the new attack patterns, but we are also going to provide you remediation. How to not just look at the attack patterns, but how and what needs to be changed to defend against these new threats. So yes, we are in line with building out the whole mapping for the whole CARICOM, not just for Jamaica. We are in, I think that whole product will launch in January through the government of Trinidad for the entire CARICOM, and it is being built by the Amber Group. And I'm certain that Jamaica would tremendously benefit from what is being built. And the second part of your question, you will have to remind me that question again. It was a little too long.
Right. So it is whether or not companies know that do not have a cybersecurity establishment will see reasonable returns if they create one, so that persons entering the job market are not just stuck in a dead-end job, but actually have a career path in cybersecurity within corporations in Jamaica.
Thank you for that. So I think there's no straight answer to this. It depends on the size of the business. Now, if you're a small business or a medium business, to put a whole cybersecurity team inside your business may not be viable. Because end of the day, you have X amount of revenue, you have X amount of profits, and there's only how much money you can spend in IT or how much money you can spend in cybersecurity division of your IT department. So there are two methods to do it. One, yes, if your revenue is strong and you're a profitable company, I would definitely ask to have an in-house cyber security team by itself. But unfortunately, not all the businesses have that ability. And not all the businesses, when they hire cybersecurity experts, also know how to use them on a full-time basis. So there are two methods to it. One, of course, you can hire your own resources. As Amber Group, we provide resources for companies in Jamaica. So we train them, we bring them in, we fully train them and teach them how to provide services, and then companies hire those resources from us who are well trained, and we manage and assist these employees working in those businesses. And second way would be to use the shared services. Now, when you cannot own your own car, you do a share pool, right? It's just cheaper, it's easier. You don't have to buy the whole car because you don't have the money, but you certainly can pay a fraction and have another company manage, monitor, and enhance your products. So it's almost like sometimes if I don't have the money to buy a car, at least what I can do is share the car with somebody and pay a fraction of the cost to get to my destination. So both these models are already available in Jamaica now that one can use.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Sterling, for those questions. There's another question posed to you, JaCIRT. It says, is there any specific area or business in Amber Group where one can start under an internship or an apprenticeship and get the necessary training to grow within your company?
That is a fantastic question. Sorry, what was the name of the person who asked this question?
Shavain.
Shavain, that is a very, very good question. And thank you for asking that question, because that is what is needed in Jamaica now. We end up having a lot of people trained with a lot of skills and they don't have a job. So as a business, we took a different approach. Why? We know what we need. Why don't we bring in people to train them into what we need and then give them a job? And you might have heard about the Amber Heart Academy that started in January this year. We now have 100 students learning PHP, HTML, and other languages that we know as a company, as a software development company, we will need. What we've done, we are now training 100 students, fully sponsored, their education, their accommodation at the Stony Hill campus, their meals, stipends, and then at the end of the year, once you complete the one-year course with Amber Heart Academy, you also get a NCTVET certificate, and the best part is yet to come. The best part is you have a guaranteed job. So to me, it's not just about giving you a training and then letting you out into the world, go find a fish yourself. No, we are the pond, we have the fish, we'll teach you how to fish and come fish in my pond and enjoy a nice meal. So it's all about that. So the way the Amber Heart Academy was structured was to do exactly that we build resources, we give skills, and these skills then are absorbed by Amber with a guaranteed job, and Jamaica benefits from these skills because we provide the skills to other businesses. If you look at a lot of large companies in Jamaica, US, South Africa, we build software for very large banks also in many countries around the world. So for me, we as Amber believe that we train our future employees ourselves. and then guarantee them jobs as soon as they've completed the training. So as you know, Amber have 10 business lines. We have Amber Connect, which is vehicle tracking. We have Amber Innovations, which is software development. We have Amber Pay, which is a payment solution. We have Amber Aviation, which just got launched 2 weeks ago. Even if you want to become a pilot, we can train you. And I'll share this experience I had 3-4 weeks ago. I was, Mr. Sterling, I was at at one of the resorts in North Coast. And I was on the beach with my wife on the weekend, enjoying the beach and the sun and coconut water. I don't drink alcohol. And this young man who came to give the beach towels, my wife and we were talking. My wife and I were just talking about planes, and my wife and I both are pilots as well. Yes, we are licensed pilots ourselves. And we were talking about planes and Amber Aviation, and we're launching this business soon, and what's the future of aviation in Jamaica. And this young man who was walking past with towels in his hand, he was a beach boy, and he stopped. He said, sir, I'm hearing planes and stuff. Are you a pilot? I said, yes, my wife and I both are pilots, and we were just discussing about the aviation industry in Jamaica. We're launching Amber Aviation in Jamaica soon. And this man goes, Mr. Hewitt, this is interesting. This man goes and says, you know, I finished my flying ground school already 3 years ago. And then my mother passed away, who was funding my education to become a pilot. And I didn't have money. I had to get a job to get myself some food. He completed his aviation ground schooling, and because of circumstances, he dropped his passion and became a beach bar assistant. And I can tell you now, there are so many people with such expertise, such passion, such intelligence. And as Amber, for me, we're seeking more of these amazing people. Now, this gentleman will become our first ultralight pilot in Jamaica. We're in contact with him. And similarly, when we approached and we announced Amber Aviation, you would have seen it a few weeks ago, it came out. We're launching ultralight aviation. We are also launching JetShare and air taxis. I want you to fly from Kingston to Negril in 45 minutes and cost Knutsford Express. That is what I'm trying to build. Now, when we put that out in the news that this is all is coming, can you imagine there are so many individuals who got in touch with us with half pilot license or half schooling done here? There's just so much of talent in Jamaica, and I'm sure it is the same in the cybersecurity space also. I think you need to pick your passion. I'm passionate about everything. I won't encourage you to become me, but pick a passion, pick something you really love and go after it 100%. And your passion will open the doors for you. But if you remain in self-doubt and you remain, oh, I'm not sure, nothing will happen. To me, it's all about a single focus. Have your passion in front of you and reach out, ask for help and reach out wherever you can. If you apply to 20 companies and 20 companies say, no, sorry, we don't have internship for you, we cannot bring you in, apply for the 21st, because that 21st could be Amber. And we will take you on board.
Thank you very much. I love the approach that's happening here, and it is opening up some other discussions. Somebody from our Facebook stream is asking if you accept applications for internship for first and second year university students.
Yes, I mean, we don't have any set method of that yet, but absolutely we have considered and taken on board quite a few individuals who have expressed phenomenal passion. To me, it's your passion that gets you the internship. We love to teach, we love to contribute to our society. That's what Amber is designed and built for. It's a company built on a foundation to give back. And I would absolutely love for you to apply. And yes, we do have internships that we take on board.
Good stuff, good stuff. the approach to what is being done, it is great. Persons within the chat are admiring the steps going forward and the approach in which Amber is taking to go ahead and accept these internship and apprenticeship programs. It is quite fascinating, and it is appreciated. So let me say on behalf of before I go there, is there any other questions? Let me ask that. Any other question? I will take the silence as no. So let me take the time out to say thank you on behalf of JaCIRT and the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology for taking the time out to be here and to present to us. We indeed learned something new about Amber, and we appreciate it. And have yourself a wonderful and a productive day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and God bless everybody. Take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I believe we have come to the end of our session. Yes, we had 2 other presenters that were unable to make it today, and we do understand that these things happen. So they would have sent their apologies, and we appreciate and understand the position. Let me give a hearty appreciation to everybody that was here from this morning, to everybody that stuck out with us, to everybody that had learned something new. I say thank you. We appreciate you being here with us. We know that something new was learned, including myself, and so we just appreciate you being here with us. For those that engaged with us in the various chats on the various platforms, we say thank you once again. Before we officially close, I will hand over to my co-moderator, Lieutenant Colonel Sterling, to do closing remarks and officially close the session. But from me to all of you, thanks for giving us an ear and thanks for joining us and participating. Colonel Sterling.
Thank you, Giovanni. And really, I need to echo the sentiments about those persons who not only joined us today, but stayed with us for almost 6 hours. It represents a change in how we're viewing cybersecurity, education, certification, and employment within Jamaica. And by the caliber and candidness of the participants today, we're really reassured that there are things happening within the cybersecurity sector. What we really need now is for this not to be just about today, but for it to really be the stepping stone of things to come. And certainly, as far as JaCIRT is concerned, and as far as we're able, we will try to ensure that the partnerships that led to today's fabulous presentations and indeed a very engaging discussion and interactive session, we will seek to bring that to bear on how we take our operations forward. We have to recognize that cybersecurity is a team sport, and more we need to engage and bring some level of convergence to how the academic portion of cyber is brought to bear on the very problems that we face and we need to fix. Additionally, we must be able to generate that sort of data-based and scientific approach to developing policy positions, policy direction, and also to ensuring that we put scarce resources where they're most needed. So once again, thank you for journeying with us today. We look forward to the next session tomorrow, which is a panel discussion on cybersecurity research. Given how our Cyber Crimes Act is structured and the nature of our cybersecurity ecosystem, I can assure you that it will be another scintillating discussion, and we encourage you to join us. Wish for you all the best for the rest of the afternoon. Thank you, and God bless you all.